and 10 years probation under the supervision of the State Department of Corrections. Beach's sentence had drawn the attention of legal advocates, including Bullock, who argued that sentencing for youth offenders should take into account their age and possibility of reform. Those advocates won a victory in 2012 when the U.S. Supreme Court found that an Alabama law mandating life without parole for a juvenile convicted of murder violated a constitutional ban on cruel and unusual punishment. Bullock, who was Montana's Attorney General before being elected governor, wrote in his order granting clemency for Beach that a sentence of life without parole forecloses the possibility of rehabilitation. Since his conviction by a Montana jury in 1984, Beach has argued in legal filings that he is innocent and that his confession was coerced by police. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A local man treats his girlfriend to a sumptuous 20-second massage, and an area desk doesn't mind if people sit on it like a chair every once in a while. This is the Onion Week in Review. Following months of anticipation and global fanfare, the royal baby was finally born this week. Sources close to the royal family say the newborn prince spent his first days crawling around Buckingham Palace, eating his first meal, and even speaking his first words. The Onion has obtained this exclusive audio clip.
Ave Antichristi, Ave Antichristi,
In other news, a man's annual 6-sentence conversation with his cousin goes smoothly, a generous improv troupe performs for free, and a pool owner has a bathing suit that touched his penis you can borrow.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition. You can join us here, and we'll give you our toll-free lines as well as the Skype username as the show rolls on. Of course, you can take control of the airwaves and the internet, the website, freetalklive.com. Go there and get interactive. We'll tell you more about that. But it's been redesigned here in late 2015, and it looks pretty sharp. So go and enjoy freetalklive.com. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
So the refugee crisis, as it is being called, continues to bubble over into much controversy. And I think that there's an interesting piece that they have at the Hit and Run blog over at Reason.com by Jesse Walker that talks about how we've seen this before. Now, not necessarily in most of our listeners' lifetimes have we seen this before. Specifically, we're talking about World War II times. And I suppose some of our listeners could have been around back then, but probably not too many.
They probably weren't at decision-making ages.
Yeah, at this point. So let me jump in here, and then you can share your thoughts. As refugees flee the brutal chaos in Syria, their plight has prompted a lot of talk about the Jews who fled Germany in the Nazi era. Sometimes the people who raise the topic are highlighting the parallels. Other times they're trying to draw distinctions. But one similarity between the situations hasn't gotten as much attention as it should. Both crises fed the fears of foreign infiltration that have long lurked within American culture. In the late 1930s and early 40s, Americans saw Nazi agents everywhere. In August of 1940, more than a year before Pearl Harbor, Gallup's pollsters knocked on people's doors and asked, without mentioning any names, do you think there are fifth columnists in this community? Unquote. 48% said yes.
Nazis in the communities.
Some of their neighbors were probably secret agents. That's what they said. 48% of them said that. 26% said no. That meant there were a lot of people who were uncertain. And a very, very small amount, just about a quarter, said that none of their neighbors were Nazis. Those suspicions often extended to the refugee population. The Saturday Evening Post told its readers that Nazis, quote, disguised as refugees, unquote, were working around the world as, quote, spies, fifth columnists, propagandists, or secret commercial agents, unquote. Similar stories appeared in organs like Reader's Digest and American Magazine, with the latter running a feature that bore the the calm, collected headline, Hitler's Slave Spies in America. And is this sounding familiar? We've heard recently on this, I think on this very program, the idea that well, those Syrian refugees could be ISIS agents in disguise. They're not just people trying to get away from the ISIS folks who are trying to slaughter them. No, they're actually ISIS, and so therefore they shouldn't be allowed in, or just, they shouldn't be allowed in, period, because, well, immigration, close the borders, et cetera, et cetera. But certainly the fear-mongering about the idea that they could be ISIS is probably one of the top ideas that are being promulgated about them.
Sure. I mean, the idea is well, what if a percentage, and sometimes people will say 10%, and hey, that's a tremendous claim, is that the that these people are going to be screened and that 10% of them are going to be terrorists. I mean, that's nutty to me. But
what if just one, Mark?
Well,
what if just one gets in here and blows something up?
One terrorist, you mean?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suspect that they don't. If you're worried about one person committing a crime on American soil, you don't need to worry about somebody coming in to do it. There are plenty of people who are here in the United States who would be willing to commit a crime of that level for the same reasons, I would assume. I mean, there are people who in the United States currently who believe that ISIS is the good guys in this particular battle. I don't understand how they can come to that conclusion, but hey, well, what can I tell you?
Well, speaking of those people, Mark, we did talk a few days back about the decommissioned or declassified, semi-declassified report from the Department of Defense that essentially predicted the rise of ISIS without knowing what it would be called. They predicted a Salafist regime or Salafist group coming to power and then threatening the Syrian government, which is something they wanted.
Was that prior to the Iraq War?
No, 2012.
Okay.
But it was prior to ISIS.
I see. I think that, I think it's reasonable to guess prior to the Iraq War that destabilizing one country in a region is likely to destabilize another country in a region. I think that, to some extent, that ISIS is a reasonable outcropping of U.S. foreign policy. I'm not calling America at fault here, but
nor are you calling ISIS reasonable. You meant that one could reason that ISIS would come out of it.
Right. Well, this is a Reason magazine article, and I like rationality. Mm-hmm. So if you, for instance, go and destabilize the Sunni government, the Ba'athist Party, the Sunni government, in favor of the Shiites in a country where they're mixed and the Sunnis have been mean to the Shiites for a long time, then maybe the Shiites will be mean to the Sunnis now that they outnumber them 7-3 or thereabouts. And the Sunnis are going to feel like they're put upon. If that's the case, then maybe a Salafist, which is Sunni, organization is going to rise up to fight, and the Sunnis are going to be like, well, it's the devil I know or there's the devil I don't. What do I do? I mean, that sounds like a reasonable outcome, and that's kind of what happened with ISIS.
So back to the story here at Reason, the idea in the piece was that the agents among the refugees didn't want to do Hitler's bidding, because remember, they called them slaves, Nazi slaves. They simply had no choice, said the editorial, because otherwise their relatives back home would be in danger. An approach the article called a blitzkrieg of blackmail. This theory was endorsed by no less than President Franklin Roosevelt.
So this was basically saying the Germans in America, I mean, German population's pretty high by 1938, that we should watch out for them. Is that the idea?
I mean, presumably. Huh. I mean, it didn't. I didn't read the original article in the 1940s, so I'm trusting Reason's
I'm kind of surprised that I didn't hear from my great-grandmother Traub these stories, but maybe I was just too young.
Traub? Is that her first name?
Her last name is it's Pauline Traub. Traub is German for grape, I believe.
Gotcha. An approach the article called a blitzkrieg of blackmail. This theory was endorsed by no less than Franklin Roosevelt, who said at a press conference that refugees, quote, especially Jewish refugees, unquote, could be pressed into Nazi service with the words, quote, we are frightfully sorry, but your old father and mother will be taken out and shot, unquote. So the suggestion was that Jewish refugees were actually possible double agents for the Nazis, even though they didn't actually want to be because their family was under threat of violence.
And most of these were young people, children, these Jewish refugees. So this is what they'd have to do. In order to make the children look dangerous, they'd have to say, well, they could be turned into agents because, the parents would be killed or whatever. And I suppose that's quite possible.
Well,
I don't know the answer to that.
Children can be easily manipulated, right?
I don't know the answer to that, but that a lot of people say that World War II was fought to save the Jews, but the United States had ample opportunity on multiple occasions
to save some
in the
Jews.
30s and to save some Jews, and they did not choose to do that.
Those worries, of course, turned out to be overblown. In Insidious Foes, the Axis Fifth Column in the American Homefront, the historian Francis McDonnell concluded that, quote, Axis operations in the United States never amounted to much, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation easily countered the Trojan horse activity that did exist.
See, it worked. Keeping out the Jews worked.
Though the Germans practiced espionage, sabotage, and subversion in the United States, their efforts were modest and almost uniformly unsuccessful. Richard Brightman and Alan Kraut pointed out that, quote, fewer than 0.5% of all refugees arriving from Nazi Soviet territory in 1940 fell under enough suspicion to be brought in for questioning. Just a fraction of those were indicted, and, quote, most of those were a violation of immigration regulations rather than actual espionage.
So well below 1%.
That's what it sounds like. Furthermore, one of the best defenses against infiltration turned out to be the refugees themselves, after the American ambassador to France declared that more than 1/2 of the spies captured doing actual military spy work against the French army were refugees from Germany. The anti-fascist writer Heinz Pohl noted not merely that the number was far smaller than that, but the handful of pseudo-refugees who did exist were frequently caught with the assistance of the refugee organizations, who, after all, were especially eager to work against Hitler, right? You've got a group of people who hate ISIS. They're running from ISIS. If they find out that someone among them is actually some sort of ISIS character, they're going to turn them in.
What do you think? Do you think that 98% of ISIS is out to get us? 98% of the Syrian refugees? 1-855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Or just 1%. You can share your thoughts with us here. It's the Live Saturday Show.
At Van Dyke Mortgage, we would like to thank our military veterans. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. For your service to our country, the Veterans Administration or VA loans are available for active, non-active, and retired veterans who meet the established requirements to assist in buying or refinancing a home loan. The most notable features and benefits for those who qualify are 100% financing, no monthly mortgage insurance, a variety of terms or loan types, reduced costs for disabled veterans, and no seller prepayment penalty. At Van Dyke Mortgage, we work hard to be your trusted mortgage advisor and can help analyze your personal situation and give you advice that matters. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com. That's VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
ProPure water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. ProPure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. With the silver-infused Pro 1G 2.0 all-in-one water filter. Helps remove and reduce over 200 contaminants. Don't purchase just any filter claiming to be certified. Get the Pro 1G 2.0, the only gravity filter with NSF 42 certification. NSF, valued and recognized for independent certification worldwide. In addition, the Pro 1G 2.0 was independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. ProPure, easy to assemble, easy to maintain, easy to clean filters. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeen.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeen.com. That's freekeen.com. Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You may join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The whole idea of being afraid of the Syrian refugees because ISIS is really similar, apparently, to what was happening in the United States during the fear-mongering being spread about Jewish refugees in the World War II times. They could be Nazis, was what was said back then. People thought that they had undercover Nazi agents living in their neighborhoods. I mean, it was super paranoid. And, you know, I imagine that I wonder how many people would answer a similar question today. Like, they actually did a polling back then of people and asked them about, and it was like 48% of the respondents thought someone in their neighborhood was a Nazi, some sort of secret Nazi. And I wonder what that would be like today. How many people in your neighborhood are Islamic sympathizers or ISIS sympathizers?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what what the concern was as far as Nazis go in 1939. I don't know what people thought about them then. I do know that Life magazine did an expose on how Jews were being treated in Nazi Germany, and that was a well-read magazine at the time. I kind of think to myself that if they're trying that, like, the poll here might actually support itself in the sense that if Americans are largely against, and it was 60-something% against letting a bunch of I think it was 1,000 or 10,000 young, I think it was 10,000 young Jewish people into the country, then maybe there were Nazi sympathizers in people's communities. Maybe they were right to be concerned with Nazi sympathizers being in their community because a super majority of Americans didn't want Jews to come into the country. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the actual question that was asked was, without mentioning any names, do you think there are fifth columnists in the community?
Those are people that are looking to undermine, like actively undermine.
So that would be more than a sympathizer,
yes,
then,
something
right?
Probably less than a spy, but more than a sympathizer.
Someone who's willing to do something toward a certain end.
Yeah. Well, people claim that Walt Disney was, I don't know, liked Hitler or something.
So let me continue here from Reason.com, and then you can share your thoughts with us here. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, if you want to join us, 855-450-3733. And by the way, we do have Skype, so you can Skype in. You'll sound pretty great usually on Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. By the way, get your shopping done right now for the holidays. Go to shop.freetalklive.com. You can enter Amazon through the links there, and Free Talk Live will get a cut of the sale. Very simple. You know Amazon. They're great. They got a huge selection and great shipping deals and all that. So go and get your shopping done. Help Free Talk Live at the same time. Go to shop.freetalklive.com. So one of the things they're pointing out here in the Reason piece is that people are worried, obviously, about the idea of ISIS agents coming in, and that's very, very similar to what has happened in the past. Now, the story here points out that fear did carry the day. Instead of adding reasonable screening precautions to the existing immigration procedures, the Holocaust historian Raphael Madoff writes, in blowing the whistle on genocide, quote, "The State Department exaggerated the threat." They've never done that before, now have they? And Assistant Secretary of State Breckinridge Long used it as a pretext to cut in half the use of the already small quotas of Jews permitted into the country. That was in 1940. In 1941, Long tightened the number yet again. And by 1944, Treasury Secretary Henry Morgenthau would write a blistering memo complaining that the State Department officials had, quote, "not only failed to use the governmental machinery at their disposal to rescue Jews from Hitler, but have even gone so far as to use this government machinery to prevent the rescue of these Jews." Like turning around the Voyage of the Damned, the ship full of Jewish people looking to come make a new home for themselves, to escape from Germany.
Well, this was all this legwork that was done on this. The reason this poll was done, the 10,000 young people that were going to be moved from Nazi Germany to a better life here in the United States, was done by the Quakers.
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, they had gone over there and asked the Nazis, who wanted to get rid of their Jews, right? That if they could, hey, can we help you with this?
We'll take them,
Right. And apparently we won't.
Meadoff argues the State Department was rife with anti-Semitism at the time and that this fed its eagerness to choke off the flow. Today, of course, the fear is that some of the Syrians seeking refuge in America are actually terrorists working for ISIS. More than half of the nation's governors have now announced that they don't want the refugees settling in their states, and at least one Republican presidential contender has suggested that Washington impose a religious test on the would-be immigrants. This apparently was Ted Cruz who made this suggestion, letting in the Christians and keeping out the Muslims.
People have said that.
One governor who is also a Republican presidential contender, Chris Christie, says he would bar even, quote, orphans under 5, unquote, suggesting that perhaps he was paying too much attention to last week's chatter about baby Hitler. The opponents of Syrian immigration will surely argue that ISIS terrorists are not obliged to follow the same strategies as Nazi spies or saboteurs. The fact that one fear was overblown, they'll say, does not prove another anxiety is also mistaken. And it's certainly true that some agents of one sort or another have hidden themselves among a flood of exiles. During the Mariel boat lift of 1980, the Cuban government undeniably...
Which is probably the worst situation of immigration in the United States.
What do you mean the worst?
Well, catastrophic for the U.S. There was a crime wave that started in Miami, basically after this Mariel boat lift situation.
That was when the criminal types were released from prison in Cuba and sent here.
Prison and insane asylums. Cuba empties its prisons and insane asylums, and the United States takes them in. And it was terrible for Cuban refugees thereafter, because even now, the Coast Guard will turn you around and send you back.
So it's undeniable that the Cuban government did insert some spies among the people fleeing to the United States at that time. Though it's not completely clear who came out ahead in that operation, American investigators identified several spies, put them under surveillance, and in the process uncovered at least one Cuban agent who had set up shop in the U.S. before the boat lift. Yet the fact remains that refugees receive the toughest screening of any immigrant group coming to these shores, with extra layers of scrutiny and a process that usually takes more than a year. There are, bluntly, much easier ways to get a terrorist into America. But if you don't want more Arabs...
I would say it would be relatively easy to get your terrorists into America by flying to Mexico City and then walking across the border.
There are bluntly easier ways, but if you don't want more Arabs in America anyway, you can scare people into backing your agenda by fanning those fears of infiltration, much like those State Department flunkies who didn't like the Jews.
As a matter of fact, I think Canada is taking 25,000 refugees, and so if they're going to be, a bunch of spies inside of these refugees,
they can come across Canada.
They can go to Canada, and then there's even a longer border that's far less better guarded.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And so, if you want to share your thoughts here, you can join us. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you're afraid of the idea of immigrants coming here, specifically refugees, which I guess you were telling me before the show, Mark, that being a refugee is a different status than an immigrant, right? Like, this isn't your typical immigration process. It's more rigorous. There's a lot more oversight of this process, none of which I'm in favor of, by the way. I think people should just be able to come here. But you also said that apparently there's some level of government
assistance.
Care.
Yes,
or
there's going to be assistance, and I'm not for any of that. I think that the churches and religious organizations will take care of refugees,
right,
and
the
that's
mosques
what they should
will
be doing.
step up, I would think.
There's not nearly as many mosques as churches, but I think the churches will step up too.
I think
I'm
you're
willing
right
to
about
take in
that.
a family. Fine.
Our toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. Are you scared? This is Free Talk Live.
The final phase of extermination is set to commence now. And as population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment in all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ based upon blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Ovaltine. Give your kids the nutrition they need to be their best. Visit us at ovaltineusa.com. Telling your child about healthy food choices is important, but showing her what to eat goes a lot further. Have her help create the grocery list, then bring her to the store with you. Picking out healthy foods together helps kids get in the habit of thinking about what they're eating every day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here, live Saturday show, toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Are there lurking terrorists out there in the United States? They're waiting. They're in your neighborhood. And if so, well, what do you want to do about it? House-to-house searches? Police state-style checkpoints? Because ultimately, for those who are out there promoting the idea of keep them out, keep those refugees out, well, it's sort of the same idea of keeping immigrants out, and there's really only one way to do that fairly effectively, which is to completely lock down the borders and therefore have a total police state here in the United States. I, for one, am not interested in that. I would like to, I'm willing to take the risks. You know, we're always at risk every day. There's always a risk of some madman, pulling a gun or putting an IED, explosive device, together and setting it off. That could happen anytime, anywhere. There's nothing to actually prevent it. You want to go look up some bomb plans on the internet? They're not that hard to find. So anybody who has that motivation could certainly do it. The fact that it doesn't happen with any regularity whatsoever, I think, is an indication that really any fears of lurking terrorists is fairly overblown. Now, there were some reports today from anonymous, people claiming to be anonymous. There's now a counter report from someone else claiming to be anonymous, that the first people claiming to be anonymous were not actually anonymous, and they were not, well, anyway. The reports were that
this is the problem with anonymous.
With anonymous. Yeah, the initial reports were, and supposedly the FBI is taking it seriously, was that there are, I guess, supposed chatter amongst the Islamic State about possible terrorist strikes happening tomorrow. One was supposedly slated for the WWE event happening in Atlanta, Georgia tomorrow evening, and another, there were like 6 or 7 others slated for various different countries around the globe. So supposed global terrorist strike. And then again, other anonymous, a different anonymous Twitter channel or something came out and said, well, he didn't say that. Of course, who is really anonymous, and how do you know one anonymous channel is more valid than another? I guess Daryl told me earlier, one of our co-hosts, off the air, that, well, maybe the anonymous Twitter channel that has been around longer has more cred, because it's just been there for longer. But anyway, so, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But for the most part, we see more people being killed in the United States by police than we do by terrorism. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Mark, you and I had the great pleasure, and it was very pleasurable, of nuts.com. You decided what to order. You ordered some delicious nuts. I think there were pistachios in there and cashews.
Cashews, yeah.
There was a organic trail mix.
Yeah.
There was also non-nutty things like chocolate-covered pretzels.
They were really good.
Humongous 5-pound bag of those things. The packaging was beautiful, but the product was really outstanding. And in fact, Nuts.com has only the freshest products from the best suppliers around the world. In my opinion, the best tasting nuts on the planet.
These are the kind of things that my mother and grandmother had, my grandmother had and my mother has out at Christmas time, that you can kind of nosh on while you're waiting for the meal and everybody's doing their holiday thing. I think that they're a great choice for those kind of situations.
And they got way more than nuts. They've got dried fruit, sweet treats, cooking and baking goods, even coffee and teas. And, of course, you can do it up with like a gift tin or a basket or something like that. It's a perfect time for giving gifts, and so Nuts.com can definitely help you with that. And as a new customer, if you're a Free Talk Live listener, you use our code FTL. You just click the microphone there at the top of the front page. Type in FTL. You'll get 4 free samples. With your first order, there's a minimum purchase, but you add in 4 additional free samples in there, and you get to choose from over 50 options. So it's an additional $15 value. When you go to nuts.com, click on the microphone and enter code FTL, like Free Talk Live. That's nuts.com. So let's go to your calls and thoughts here. The concern that a lot of people have of the Syrian immigrants is that they might be ISIS. Well, that sounds a lot like some of the concerns people had about the Jews during World War II times. Let's go to your calls and thoughts and start with, Terry, listening in Indianapolis to WIBC FM. Hey, Terry.
Hey, yeah, I love WIBC. Thank you for being on here.
Sure. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, I'm a single mom, and I really take offense to what you just said. I think safety and security has to be job one. And I relate things a lot of times on a national level to a personal level. My daughter was being threatened by a kid. Now, if she was being threatened by a kid, do you think I'd be happy if he was on a list and they have a violent offender and he was able to go buy a gun? Do you think I'd like that? No. And if she was being threatened by a kid, do you think I'm going to open the door and let him in the house? No. I mean, it's stupidity. You have to take care of yourself.
So if your daughter was being threatened by a kid, would you never let any other kids in the house?
No, of course I would. There's always consequences to your actions.
Yeah, there's always going to be a criminal element in every group, right? Like if we find white moms in Indianapolis, some of them are going to be criminals, right?
Sure.
Okay, then
but
that's all we're saying.
A criminal and you're on a terror watch list.
Who's on a terror watch list?
You've lost most of your constitutional rights right there. Once you break the law,
why should you lose a single right because some government bureaucrat wrote your name down on a list?
Okay, there is. I have to admit, there is a fear that there's a fight against Christianity in this country.
Yeah, there's a
fear. And I could see, there is, and I could see where our government is so out of control and is so Muslim right now and is so ready for a war that they could put good people on a list. They could do that.
They put a lot of good people on terrorist watch lists. There was a Catholic nun we did a story about that ended up on a terrorist watch list. This is the government we're talking about. They're pretty bad at these sorts of things.
I was on one of those watch lists for a little while.
Yeah, right.
As a matter of fact. Hey, Terry,
you probably should have been. No.
This is what I want to know. This is what I want to know from you. You said safety and security should be job number one. And I just want to know, what does that mean? I mean, what does that translate into? What do you hold on, let me ask you the question before you respond. My question is, what do you want to see? Because obviously, people don't think there's enough safety and security. So what would Terry envision for the future of what ideal society would look like?
Okay, an ideal society would be where people pretty much obey the laws. Yeah, you're going to have difference of opinions. Yeah, you're going to have difference of religion. And that's okay, as long as you don't break the law and you become a terrorist and you hurt other people.
But what do you do? Because obviously not everyone's...
Wait.
Okay.
Give me a chance here. You're not seeing Christians blowing up Muslims. You're not seeing Christians out there fighting the way the Muslims are fighting, beheading people. This is not a logical person that we're dealing with. These are people that are
It's a small percentage of Muslims that are doing that, and these people the Muslims are generally chopping the heads off of Muslims, right? And Muslims want to get away from the Muslims that are chopping the heads off of people, right?
Yeah, these are this is the radical group, that the Sunnis.
Right,
they've also
no, the Sunnis aren't radical.
Well.
In this case, the Salafists are radicalized Sunnis, probably because the United States government, full of good Christian folks, went in and blew up their government and threw everything into disarray and destabilized their state.
I wonder how many people flying drones for the U.S. military are good Christians. Hey, anyway, so what I wanted to know specifically was what it would look like, Terry. So what I
illogical?
No. What I wanted to know was what it looks like. So what you were saying was that you want people to follow the law. And so obviously not everyone's going to get on the same page like me. I really don't care what the law says. I will follow natural law, which says do no harm. I will not harm my my neighbors.
There you go.
But I'm not going to follow. Hold on. I'm not going to follow man's laws. Okay, so you got problem. You got a problem with me right away. But other people are going to. Oh, okay. So you're fine with me ignoring whatever man laws I want to ignore?
Well, I don't follow. I follow man's laws, but I follow God's laws first, and in our country, God's laws and man's law are pretty darn close.
No, they're not even close.
Strongly disagree with.
I think the Bible's pretty clear on what you're supposed to do with refugees.
Really?
Yeah.
What is? Do you have some? I saw a story about that, Mark. We'll talk about it. Terry, if you want to hang on, I want to continue to explore this with you. What you mean by following the law, and what you really want things to look like, because when I hear people talk about all this, the fear of immigrants and the fear of refugees, I hear them asking for a police state without even realizing that's what they're asking for. It's Free Talk Live.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
cryptocurrency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people, where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Hey, Berkey Guy here. Are you still drinking unfiltered tap water? Does your water contain chlorine or fluoride? Will you have drinkable water in an emergency? The Berkey Guy is here to help you remove these and other potential contaminants from your water, thus helping you drink clean, purified water. We offer Berkey water purification systems at the lowest available prices online. Don't go another moment without a Berkey system. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands drink clean, purified water. Join them by visiting goberkey.com or call me, the Berkey Guy, at 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS?
Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't pick on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS.
If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is even at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 2 cents lower at $14.31 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $322. We have the lowest priced Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Live Saturday edition continuing here with you in the studio. It's Ian.
And Mark.
And Terry, unfortunately, did not hang on. She is no longer with us. But I did want to continue to discuss what she'd brought up, and then we're going to get right back into your calls and thoughts. We're talking about the fear surrounding the Syrian refugees and how it seems to parallel some of the fears that surrounded Jewish refugees during World War II times, that they could be Nazi infiltrators. And, of course, this fear will likely lead to people looking to the government to solve the problem that the government, of course, created by basically creating the ISIS situation in the first place, what with their Middle Eastern meddling that they've been doing for so many decades and the bombings and all the other murders that they've been committing over there.
Yeah, was it Terry? Was that her name?
That's right, yeah.
She said that we were illogical, and I guess I'm not communicating as well as I would like, because all I'm simply saying here is that I believe that free people should be able to cross the borders of free countries freely. Look, I understand the United States is essentially in a war, the longest war it's been in with this war on terror thing, and how you can fight a war against a concept is beyond me. But, I guess that the Syrian refugees are to some extent the United States government's responsibility for having gotten involved in the Iraq war in the first place. They destabilized the region. They destabilized the Ba'athist regime in Iraq. Thus, the Sunnis become, they were on top before. Now they're on the bottom. You just check them out there at. Can you turn off the CPU?
It's off, dude. I don't know what you're listening to.
Okay, well, I'm hearing weird noises. I'm sorry. So, and then, then the Sunnis go across the border into Syria, and, well, the ISIS is born.
Got it. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can join us on Skype as well at Skype username LRN.FM. So she was saying, Terry was talking about, she wants everybody to follow the law. And then when I said, well, I don't want to follow man's laws, I'm not interested in most of those. I mean, I'm not going to hurt anybody, but I'm certainly not interested in doing what the politicians tell me to do. They don't own me.
Most of them are criminals and thieves and liars anyway.
Yeah, and then she sort of backed down from that statement a little bit. But generally that attitude of, well, whatever the law says goes and, we need the government to protect us, that attitude doesn't lead toward more freedom. And I like the idea of freedom. I like the idea of people being able to make choices for themselves. And the government takes those choices away. They take your freedom away. And as long as people don't value freedom, then they're going to lose a lot more of it over time. And nobody can make the argument that the United States is getting more free over time. Despite all the soldiers over in the Middle East and wherever else in the world, the 1,000 military bases supposedly fighting for your freedoms, all the indicators show that the United States is getting less free over time. There are multiple studies that are done worldwide of all the countries in the world, and the United States has been falling in ranks on those studies. So, like, by any indicator, really, the overall totals, the U.S. government is a more oppressive regime than about a dozen other countries out there, and it's getting worse over time. Now, by no means is it on the line of, it ain't North Korea or many other countries, but it's not getting better.
I think it's
not
marginal,
getting freer.
And the United States is billed as the land of the free. And I would like to see it be the freest place on earth and continue to be getting freer.
Well, freedom can be a scary thing, though, right? Because with freedom comes responsibility, and some people are scared of responsibility. They want the government to take responsibility for keeping them safe. They don't want to have to do that themselves. And by the way, the government isn't going to be there when the time comes that you need someone to keep you safe. They're usually later on. They'll show up and kind of clean up the mess. Maybe do a half-assed investigation of whatever it was that transpired there. Maybe it was some sort of shooting or bombing or whatever it was that might have happened. The government's not generally going to prevent that from occurring. They didn't prevent the 9/11 attacks. They didn't prevent the Boston bombing. They didn't prevent the D.C. shooters. Remember that one?
Most of the prevention that has been done against terrorism in the United States has been done by civilians. Yes, the FBI has set up, has gotten armed and trained and encouraged terrorists, and then at the last moment snatches them up and arrests them.
Right.
But those are the terrorists that they armed, funded, trained, and encouraged.
Encouraged, yeah. And we've seen story after story of that. So it's almost every time when the news is talking about how the FBI stopped this terrorist from blowing up a van or whatever, full of, bombs. It almost always turns out to be that it was the federal government who basically put the guy up to it, essentially setting up a fall guy or a patsy, somebody who is just sort of easily manipulable, someone who was angry at the federal government, and then the feds came in and basically said, hey, you don't like the feds, huh? Well, hey, here's a bomb for you, and here's a van, and wait, you know what? We're going to have to give you a week before we can get the van to you, so why don't you stay in this hotel room that we'll pay for, and oh, what? You're going to get a job now, and you don't want to blow things up? Tell you what, we're going to call the company that you were going to get the job for and basically scuttle your job so you can keep the bomb plan going. That actually happened.
Yeah.
That actually happened. So anyway, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We've got Mike. He's in Dayton, Ohio. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Mike. Mike in Dayton, Ohio. going. Oh, you know what? I muted you, Mike. I apologize. That was my bad. Let's try you again. Go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go for it.
Yeah, I've been listening to you guys, and yeah, I've been into politics, studying the news about 30 to 50 hours a week the past 3 years because I'm really concerned about the country also. But for example, when you guys talk about the Muslims, why do you know, there's two sides to every story, right?
There's probably more than two sides to every story.
Well, I've just noticed when people like you talk about Muslims, you never mentioned that 91% of Muslims are on welfare in the United States. Why don't you ever mention that?
I didn't know that.
How do you get those statistics?
It's been on Breitbart. Did you know 80% of Muslims in Europe are on welfare?
Yeah, we have talked about welfare and Muslims in Europe, and I do believe that welfare. In that case, because I don't know your Breitbart number, and I'm interested in taking a look during the break.
Yeah, Breitbart.
But hold on, wait, let me finish. Because what I feel like these assistance programs, these entitlement programs do is they allow people to not assimilate in the ways that they should. So if, for instance, you come over here, you get assistance, then the wife can stay home. She's going to stay she's going to stay with the ways of the old country rather than assimilating like so many people did in the past. When our ancestors came over here 100 years ago, no welfare programs. Everybody's got to get to work. The ladies talk amongst themselves. They say, you know what? I want to wear some jeans, and I don't like the way you treat me. And pretty quick, the things change at home, assimilation occurs. Within a second generation, you have my grandmother was a first generation American. She couldn't really speak German at all, and my mother knows nothing. So when you get a third generation, generally they don't speak the foreign languages. They don't have the customs. Really, it just all goes away.
Yeah, I do agree with a lot of that. I think it's too easy to get welfare. Now, you guys got to remember, these people are coming from a culture where they make $2 a day, guys. When they get on welfare, they're literally rich. I mean,
the cost of living is not the same. If you've been to a country where $2 a day you can survive on $2 a day. You don't survive well, but you survive. The pricing is completely different.
I'm just saying, if you study this, as Roy Beck said, 5 billion people live on $2 to $3 a day, guys. When they come to America, they're more than happy to get on welfare.
That is a completely erroneous statement. There are fewer than 1 billion people currently living on $2 a day.
Well, let me tell you the rundown on welfare. 91.4% of Muslims are now on welfare that have come to the United States. 73% of Mexicans are on welfare. That was just on Fox News from the Pew Research Center. 51% of blacks are on welfare. You know what the white rate is?
I'd love to hear it.
17%.
I don't believe that for a second. Do you know what the earned income tax credit is? Are you familiar with the benefits that one gets as head of household? Anybody who files half of the people that file taxes, half of the people that file the 150 million tax forms in this country get money back. They don't actually pay in. So you only have 75 million. Those people, my friend, they're not it's not 82% white people.
Okay, so I found your 91.4%. It's funny because as he was saying the 91.4%, I was looking at that particular statistic online here.
Yeah.
The source is
it's all over the internet.
Obviously it's all over the internet. It is probably being misreported all over the internet, as many things tend to be. Oh yeah, no one would ever do that. No one would ever forward an email around that has misinformation in it. I'm going to put you on hold, Mike, but we can continue the discussion. The source of the statistic, Office of Refugee Resettlement Annual Report. It is welfare rates for Middle Eastern refugees in the United States. That's what 91.4% of Muslims are on. It's Free Talk Live. We'll continue, and you can join us.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, November 21st, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,078 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $328. Antiwar.com reports, after over a year of U.S. strikes against the Islamic State targets, officials have admitted to only a handful of civilian deaths, though reports from independent sources have suggested that hundreds have been killed. On Friday, the Pentagon Central Command admitted to another 4 civilians killed, including a child, in a strike against Hatra, Iraq. The strikes attacked a checkpoint of the Islamic State on the outskirts of the town, destroying 2 civilian vehicles that were waiting to cross the checkpoint and killing the passengers within. The Central Command insists that the attack was perfectly legal under international law. The attack was carried out by an A-10, basically a cargo plane full of guns with very little targeting capability. An A-10 was similarly behind the recent attack on a Doctors Without Borders hospital in Afghanistan, and the Pentagon Central Command is once again insisting they had no way of knowing civilians were present. Patrick Ryder, the Central Command spokesman, insisted, "If we knew there were civilians, we would not have conducted a strike." He also said the fact that the vehicles waited at the checkpoint led the Pentagon to conclude that they were the Islamic State and therefore lawful targets. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports homelessness in the United States is on the decline, according to data newly released by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, with the sharpest drop seen among veterans in the past 5 years. The report, released Thursday, announced an 11% decrease in the overall homeless population and 26% decrease in the unsheltered population since the launch of President Barack Obama's Opening Doors initiative in 2010. In the past 5 years, the population of homeless veterans on a single night has dropped 36%. Much of the progress is being attributed to investment made by the U.S. Congress, as well as a joint program between HUD and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Family homelessness has dropped 19% in the same 5-year window. Numbers of homeless individuals and families are estimated from data collected during an annual point-in-time poll taken on a single night. The HUD report also details a 22% decline in chronic homelessness, as more than 83,000 people fell into that category this year. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's FANS.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Montana's governor granted clemency on Friday to a man convicted of murder as a teenager in the 1979 bludgeoning death of a female classmate in a case that ignited debate about severe punishment of teen offenders. Barry Beach, who was 17 at the time of the killing, was sentenced to 100 years in prison without the possibility of parole after admitting to investigators that he used a wrench and tire iron to beat to death Kimberly Neese, a 17-year-old pupil at Poplar High School, after she refused him sex. Using an executive order, Governor Steve Bullock commuted that to time served and 10 years probation under the supervision of the State Department of Corrections. Beach's sentence had drawn the attention of legal advocates, including Bullock, who argued that sentencing for youth offenders should take into account their age and possibility of reform. Those advocates won a victory in 2012 when the U.S. Supreme Court found that an Alabama law mandating life without parole for a juvenile convicted of murder violated a constitutional ban on cruel and unusual punishment. Bullock, who was Montana's Attorney General before being elected governor, wrote in his order granting clemency for Beach that a sentence of life without parole forecloses the possibility of rehabilitation. Since his conviction by a Montana jury in 1984, Beach has argued in legal filings that he is innocent and that his confession was coerced by police. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
I'm Brooke Alvarez, and while I may not acknowledge your presence in person, and if you try to approach me, you'll most certainly be hit in the face with the stinging nettles I carry on me at all times, I like to take a moment every now and again to answer your questions so that you can get to know the real me. Here's a tweet from @Kirkamunga saying, "What is the most important thing to remember when talking to people who may not be as informed as you?" I love this question, Kirkamunga. There are 3 simple steps to dealing with uninformed people. First, when you realize that someone doesn't know something, repeat very loudly in their face the thing they don't know. For example, "You don't know who the Prime Minister of Zimbabwe is?" Second, look to everyone around you and let them know that this person is completely ignorant. "Hey everyone, Sebastian doesn't know who the Prime Minister of Zimbabwe is." Third, you call up the Prime Minister of Zimbabwe and tell him that Sebastian doesn't know who he is, and then laugh really loudly until the ignorant person just leaves in utter shame. If you'd like to ask me a question, just tweet it to my handle @BrookeAlvarez or post it to my Facebook wall.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Live Saturday edition. You may join us here. You don't have to talk about the fear-mongering surrounding the Syrian refugees and how it sure does seem similar, apparently, to the fear-mongering surrounding the Jewish refugees during the World War II days. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Our toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Mike on the line here in Dayton, Ohio. I wanted to give the conversation a chance to continue because Mike called in with some pretty outlandish statistics that he was just throwing around. And you know how statistics are. Even if the statistic is what someone says it is, meaning that you can actually find the very same statistic online and it is as the person is representing, well, of course, you know, statistics can be manipulated. The way the polling is, the questions are asked can sort of determine the results.
Many conservatives would certainly claim that's what's going on with global warming.
And in the case,
and I would too.
In the case of, well, before we bring Mike back on here, because I'm sure he's, upset or whatever. So before we do that, Mark, you found some counter information to one of the things that we were talking about, or that he had claimed, some sort of claim that's what? How many billion? What did he say? 5 billion people or something like that?
Yeah, 5 billion people on living underneath $2 a day, and apparently,
and there's 8 billion people in the world or something? 7.
So it's just under 900 million are living on $2 a day. And
what's the source on that?
Worldbank.org.
So, yeah, that's a big difference, right? Going from 5 billion to less than...
It might put in question whatever website he got that information from.
I would say anything that Mike has said thus far is in serious question. He also claimed that 91.4% of Muslims are accepting welfare, and that's not the case at all. It's the statistic. I actually happened to be looking for it at the same time as it was coming out of his mouth. The statistic is 91.4%, but it's that 91.4% of Middle Eastern refugees as of 2013. This was the Office of Refugee Resettlement annual report to Congress, fiscal year 2013, from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Administration for Children and Families, Office of Refugee Resettlement, June 11th, 2015. 91.4% of Middle Eastern refugees are on food stamps.
The refugees. That's a part of the definition of refugee.
Yeah, I don't see how else, because Mike, you claimed just blatantly that a ridiculous amount of Muslims are on welfare. I don't know how you would determine something like that, and where you're getting this information, I don't know either. But it's obviously being bastardized, and you've been misinformed. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, how can you say I'm wrong? What is the correct number if that isn't right, sir?
I have no idea. How would you determine?
Where is this poll that says, what's your religion?
This is crazy. You guys don't even know the correct number, and you're telling me that this is wrong?
I just told you the number. It's 91.4% of Middle Eastern refugees that are on food stamps.
When was the last time, Mike?
If I'm wrong, what is the number?
Mike,
you guys haven't
answer
even
this question.
You guys have studied this 5 minutes, and all of a sudden you're an expert on it.
Mike, I am not claiming to be an expert, but what I will tell you is...
I want to ask him a question. Mike, when was the last time you filled out a poll that said, what is your religion? Are you on welfare? Because I have never filled out that poll.
Well, people go around and they do studies. For example, 73% of Mexicans are on welfare.
Where is this study coming from?
Not the Mexicans I've met.
That was in...
What is a Mexican, by the way?
News article just 3 months ago.
Do you mean people who live in the United States that are from Mexico originally, or people that are of Mexican descent? Hold on. There's two different questions here.
White rate, first of all, the white rate is 17%, and the Asian rate is...
You've already pulled out a bunch of numbers, and we've already proven you wrong on at least 2 of them.
No,
so
you haven't.
Just stop. Yes, we have. We found the actual
me.
statistics and the sources online, and you're just pulling numbers out, man.
Let's get to another subject.
You asked me the question of where I... No, I'm going to answer your question about why it's impossible to know how many Muslims or Christians or white people or Mexicans or whoever are on welfare.
It's not impossible.
Yes, it is impossible to know that.
Ridiculous.
You could ask 1,000 people.
Somebody can't do a study and estimate what the rates of welfare are. Are you guys nuts?
You can find out how many people are on welfare. You can go to the government and get, statistics about how many people are actually receiving welfare, and then you can maybe divide those into estimates about how many people are, based on the census.
Ethnicity, but it's not going to be based on nationality like Mexican.
Or even religion.
So do you guys deny that there's a difference in IQ averages also among race groups?
Yeah, I'm going to deny that individuals are different.
How long have you
See, I judge
studied
people
IQ
based.
testing,
I judge people based on individualism and their, what they say and what they do. And if you want to be a racist, I'm going to just take you off the air. So goodbye.
Well, it's not
8:55. Yes, it is.
Hold on.
It's racist to say that one group of people is less intelligent than another person. We kicked someone off our show for saying the exact same thing. We kicked a host of this show off for the exact same statement. It is a racist statement.
No, listen. What it is, the question is whether or not it is genetically people of a particular ethnicity are genetically inferior.
Well, that's what people who like Mike believe.
It certainly leads in that direction.
Yeah.
But
he's the one on here talking about the whites, this and that.
He's busy with numbers of groups. There's no doubt about it. But, for instance, if you're somebody who's immigrated to the United States and English is your second language, you're probably not going to do as well on an IQ test as somebody whose English is their primary language. So, and if IQ is the end-all, be-all, why do people with high IQs even talk to people who are dumber than them? Why do we have a democracy? Right? Why do we even ask people who are below average IQ, which is by definition half of us, why do we even ask them what they think about who should be president? Why don't we have an IQ test for people who get to vote? Only people with an IQ of over 120 vote. I don't even understand what it means. There are, according to some Harvard studies, 17 different forms of intelligence. Being able to write a sonata is entirely different than being able to write an essay, which is entirely different than being able to add numbers up.
Yep.
There's all different kinds of intelligence. intelligence, plus the things like people call street smarts and spatial recognition and a variety of these things. Yeah. Those aren't rated by IQ tests. I mean, your mechanic may not be able to spell the most difficult, may not be able to win a spelling bee, but he's probably really good at making sure your car runs. That isn't an issue in my world.
I agree. And I also, even if it is true what those people are saying about different groups and IQ tests, I don't care. It's not relevant to me. What's relevant is how individuals behave, what individuals say, and what they do. And as far as Muslims are concerned, every Muslim I've ever known has not been on welfare. So, if you want to go by case studies, there's a case study for you. And as far as what, the actual statistics are, is Muslims that are on welfare or Christians on welfare or whatever group is on welfare, you can't just ascertain that by doing a phone survey. I don't think that that's going to be a good way to figure that out. If you really wanted to have some idea, you'd have to get welfare statistics and then somehow cross-check that against someone's religious beliefs and, their race or whatever, and their demographics.
I think you could find out, say, what percentage of people who are black or Hispanic or white or whatever are receiving welfare simply by saying, I'm sure they're asking that question. What is your race? And then you find out how many people of that race, is getting welfare, and then you look at the overall statistics in the United States. But it's not going to ask.
Which are still just estimates
from religion.
Well, those statistics are still just estimates based on.
Well, that's what statistics are, is estimates.
Right. But they're still just estimates based on the census and how many people respond to the census. I don't know. You have to just presume that they're somewhat close in the numbers. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I remember looking at welfare statistics before, and there were a striking number of white people that were on welfare. I don't remember if it was the majority, but it was quite a bit.
So I think it was the majority of people on welfare were white.
Yeah.
However,
well, he was trying to tell us it was 17%.
That was percentage. Nope, that's a different number. That's a percentage of white people on welfare is different. As the percentages of population are different. So no, that's not the same thing.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's continue here where we've got Jeff listening in Illinois. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Jeff.
Hey guys, have you ever heard of the Geneva Breaches Bible that was printed in 1599?
Yep.
Okay, so it listed the sins of the king in the marginal notes. I'm hearing music in the background.
Stand by, Jeff. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And Mark, you actually pulled up a story here about what the Bible says about how to treat refugees, because I imagine a lot of the people that are fear-mongering about the refugees would consider themselves Christians. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you become a slave to big tobacco? Have they taken away your money, your health, and even your freedom, forcing you to stand out in the cold this winter? There's an alternative. With the help of Jimmy the Juice Man and GiantVapes.com, for less than the cost of a carton of cigarettes, you can make the switch to electronic cigarettes and take back your freedom. At GiantVapes.com, you'll find a selection of high-quality, reasonably priced electronic cigarette hardware kits to get you started, and a selection of delicious, premium, flavored liquid refills from the award-winning Jimmy the Juice Man brand. These aren't the junk you find at your local convenience store or gas station. Use coupon code FTL10 for 10% off your first order of hardware and Jimmy the Juice Man brand liquid at GiantVapes.com, where you'll always get free guaranteed same-day shipping. Break free of the chains of sin taxes and big tobacco. Free same-day shipping and 10% off from GiantVapes.com with coupon code FTL10. That's GiantVapes.com with coupon code FTL10.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us right here toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. Mark, where's a great place to go online and in real life, but online for most of our listeners, to get some really great liberty-oriented books and more?
Yeah, Brave New Books. They've been around since 2006. They specialize in books on libertarianism, economics, conspiracy, natural health, anarchism, survival, and more. They've got all the good stuff that the government doesn't want you to read about. They also have amazing health products and water filtration systems in case you need to remove substances from tap water such as fluoride, arsenic, lead. They carry full countertop systems, pitchers, and on-the-go sport bottles. These are the high-end premium stuff, not the kind of things that you buy at department stores. In the event of a natural disaster, economic collapse, clean water is going to be hard to come by. Brave New Books has played host to countless of educational events and conferences at its meeting and organization hub for the local liberty movement in Austin, and they've brought their activism and products online to bravenewbookstore.com. It's bravenewbookstore.com. John Bush and Catherine Bleish, good friends of the show, bravenewbookstore.com.
All right, let's continue here. You can join us and bring up whatever's on your mind. Also, what the Bible says about how to treat refugees. We'll get into that here in a moment. Jeff is on the line in Elgin, Illinois. Jeff, you just barely had a chance to get your thoughts out there, so go ahead. And you were calling about some kind of Bible or whatever. Go ahead.
The Geneva.
In 1599, the Geneva Breaches Bible was written. It listed the sins of the king in the marginal notes. King James didn't like that. He was basically a tyrant. You can see, look through history and stuff. And so he had the King James Bible written in 1611, and the preachers all pound the pulpit. The pilgrims that formed our country, the people that came over here from Europe originally, would not have accepted a King James Bible if you gave them one, because it was kind of a government propaganda sheet, and they came over here to get away from all that, away from the tyranny, to be able to worship God the way
they wanted to be able to tyrannize people the way they wanted to.
Well, nature hath left this tincture in the blood, that all men would be tyrants if they could. If any man forbear his neighbor to devour, 'tis not for want of will, but of power. So it's possible that if you gave someone who is a libertarian power, ultimately it would corrupt them also.
Oh, yes.
So
the evidence is high that not only does power attract the corrupt, but that it also corrupts those that work for it.
Right. So, okay, so basically the King James Bible, if you look at certain parts of it, the preachers use it and they tell people obey the government, pay taxes and stuff like that. But the taxes, well, the churches don't pay real estate or income taxes, and that's one thing. And if they had to, maybe they would stop doing that. Maybe they would stop being an agent of the government so much.
Thanks, Jeff, for your call tonight. Appreciate hearing from you.
Yeah, I rarely do I. You're not going to find me advocating for people paying taxes too often. If an organization, why should an organization pay taxes? I guess if they're not a for-profit organization.
All right, our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. Let's go to Robert, listening in Indianapolis. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Robert.
Yes, guys. Just want to ask a real simple question, I guess.
Sure.
I was just wondering, what are all these folks going to do once they get here if we have a stat, probably that you guys know more than I do, of what the unemployment rate now as it stands in the United States is? What are they going to do once they get here?
The unemployment rate is really just a set of lies told to us by the government. What the real rate you want to know is how many people are working, not how many people are not working, because the numbers like 50% of people who are actually employed out there with a job. And
I don't have a job. Do I count?
I don't know. As a small business person, I think you would.
Okay.
But the government probably doesn't count you because you attempt very much to stay off their books.
Well, what numbers? I mean, you believe that. What numbers do you believe in? I mean, apparently you have an opinion over stats or something, or is it just your personal opinion of what all this is? Or
well, I'm going to have to look up the I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the stat of the employed people, but it's relatively easy to find on the internet, and I'll punch that up during the break.
Well,
but
I mean, that's my question.
It's a government number. It's a government number. But let me answer your
do?
question. Your question is,
what are we going to do with all these people?
Well, I don't. You and I aren't going to do anything with them. As far as I'm concerned, the only people that should be able to come here are those that are sponsored by, religious and civic organizations that intend to take care of them. I do not believe the United States government, other than sort of screening and vetting them in whatever way they're going to do, should be paying 1 red cent for the taking care of them.
Right.
Now, I'm looking for a practical solution. In a sort of philosophical way, I think that free people should be able to move across borders freely, but I'm just talking about something to solve a problem today. And so what are they going to do once they get here? I would sincerely hope they get jobs, because I know what they're going to do. They're going to consume food.
Well, what about all the Americans here now that don't have a job?
There's not a finite number of jobs. The number of jobs doesn't grow at a specific rate. The number of jobs is related to the number of people in the country. So if you were to double the size of the U.S. population, you would see a jump in employment.
There we go back on numbers. I mean, there's a stat that you're reading that off of. I mean,
no, I'm not reading a stat. What I'm logicking with you. I'm logicking with you. You know that those people are going to eat food, and so that means more food will be consumed in the country. They'll drive cars, so more gasoline will be consumed, more cars will be necessary, more housing will be necessary for all these people. That means that somebody's got to build houses, build cars, drill for oil to get gasoline, and do all these things. That's good for the economy. What we can see in economics says that immigrants to a country are good. What Milton Friedman said.
Coming over here is going to help for all those people coming over here. It's going to help the economy.
Well, it's not, because the United States government's going to give them welfare. So Milton Friedman,
absent the forced redistribution of wealth, it is a helpful thing for the
Milton
economy.
Friedman, the Nobel Prize winning, famous conservative economist, said, look, what anybody wants immigrants to come to a country. Any country, any group of individuals wants immigrants to come in. The problem is that they get a whole bunch of free stuff, and then everybody gets bitter, right? Like, I'd be bitter.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
That's
it's
what
the free stuff.
I mean, so if we're not going to give them free stuff, if I don't have to pay to have more people come over here and take care of them, which America can't even take care of the people we got now, and yet we're going to bring in thousands upon hundreds of thousands of more people from this country that we don't know nothing about, which is another question. How can you check a background against a background that ain't there?
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't see how you can possibly check the backgrounds of some of these folks.
Well, Syria was a pretty
They got this. The government's got this way of checking backgrounds. What are they checking it against?
They were able to do it with
unless they've done something over there to get on the blip. There's no record of them.
Okay, with the Mariel boat lift people, they were able to do interviews and find spies amongst the Mariel boat lift people in the 80s, and I'm sure Castro wasn't giving the United States the birth certificates of the people who came over, right? And the United States.
What did the crime rate? What did the crime rate do down in Miami?
It jumped. I think it was a terrible idea to get the Mariel boat lift in. But what I'm saying is that the screening process was successful in finding Cuban spies.
Thanks, Robert, for your call tonight. Well, Mark, I mean, you support open movement of people. Now you're saying the Mariel boat lift was a terrible idea to let those people come here? I say let people come here, screw the background checks, and take your own risks in your own hands, people. Don't look to the government to save you.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
Hey, Berkey Guy here. Are you still drinking unfiltered tap water? Does your water contain chlorine or fluoride? Will you have drinkable water in an emergency? The Berkey Guy is here to help you remove these and other potential contaminants from your water, thus helping you drink clean, purified water. We offer Berkey water purification systems at the lowest available prices online. Don't go another moment without Berkey system. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands drink clean, purified water. Join them by visiting goberkey.com or call me, the Berkey Guy, at 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653.
Are you about to meet the media? If you're about to be interviewed, do their homework for them. Know this about the person who will interview you. He or she is busy, so expect minimal, if any, preparation. He or she doesn't know as much about your topic as you do. He or she isn't as concerned as you are about getting your message out, so you need to take responsibility. Provide a biography and fact sheet, photographs, or other materials that tell your story. Reporters won't be put off if you supply frequently asked questions. Remember, Public Speaking 101, at the end of the speech, what's the one thing you want them to remember? You can download the document I supply to reporters who interview me and squirm through a video that demonstrates how not to conduct your media interview at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live.
For the listeners, each talk show has like a, you're in the Joe Blow Army, or, you know, the Ditto Heads. Do the lefties have it too? I couldn't tell you. Ed Heads, isn't?
Yep, Ed Heads.
Yeah, Ed Heads. So they all have them. I really want to hear from you.
I'd like to rename our listeners Mindless Free Talk Live Zombies. What do you think?
Free Talk Live automatons.
Call in if you're a mindless Free Talk Live zombie.
What does it mean to you to be left? What does it mean to you
progressive?
To be right? What does it mean to you to be conservative? What does it mean to you to be liberal? I think they're very vague concepts that pit people against one another. Many people who otherwise, in the absence of being able to plaster themselves with that label, might find out they've got an awful lot in common.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us right here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. SaveItPurse.com. That's where you can go to save 20% or more or less. It's up to you. You actually get to choose the discount on Amazon. So just imagine going to Amazon and regularly knocking 20% off of everything that you buy. That is super easy to do with SaveItPurse.com.
I was telling my mother about it today. She was pretty excited, wants me to show her how to do it when I get down to Florida.
It's pretty easy to use. It's easy to learn. The catch is you have to have Bitcoin in order to get these amazing discounts through SaveItPurse.com. Whether you're buying for yourself or you're going to give someone a gift, SaveItPurse.com is a great way to get stuff and get it cheaper than you could possibly get it any other way. I mean, because Amazon already has bottom-of-the-barrel prices. I mean, they've already got some amazing deals.
They've cut their margins all they can.
Yeah. So this allows you to slash it even further. It's amazing. I've used it a couple dozen times at least. SaveItPurse.com, and I will continue to use it. That's SaveAtPurse.com. As we continue with your calls and thoughts, Dave is on the line. He is in Montana via Skype. Hey, Dave.
Hey, yo.
Hey. What's on your mind?
Hey, real quick, $8 trillion spent on war in 13 years. There's your welfare, man. You could have sent everybody on Earth $1,200. And what do you call it? The refugees. If we wasn't bombing the whole world into one world money to use U.S. money to buy oil and everything else in the IMF, maybe there wouldn't be no refugees. So every time you go buy your gas on credit, you're helping out the refugees, man. Just remember that. And then did you know that USA, Israel, and Saudis, they want Syria to put a pipeline across Syria to sell oil to Europe because they don't want Russia selling oil to Europe because Russia doesn't want to use U.S. money because they want to use their own money like anybody else. I want to use our own money to sell our oil.
So once again, this is all about oil, is what you're saying, this whole Syrian thing?
The whole thing, yeah, and to keep us on it for the next 100 years, man. The ISIS... Putin just blew the whistle on ISIS. There's G20 countries supporting ISIS. There's ISIS rebels in ISIS that we support, and we don't want other people killing our.
Well, we don't support. Look, you and I don't support ISIS, but when you say we, you mean the U.S. government. And yes, there have been certain times when ISIS has been favored by the U.S. government.
The whole thing is a sham, man. ISIS is hired mercenaries. The terrorism is the whip of the new world order. If you don't go along with them, boom, you get hit with the whip. Paris didn't like the EU. They were going to drop out of the EU. They were siding with Russia, saying Putin was doing the right thing, keeping borders sovereign and everything, and the new world order.
Well, it's a different theory. I can't say I've heard that one before, but
Putin is blowing the damn whistle, and nobody's giving. Putin gave the most.
Putin ain't no hero, dude.
I'm not saying he is, but they're putting the quiet on him. He's saying the truth right now, man.
Dave, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. It's certainly the most plausible explanation for France is that they bombed Syria. I mean, that's the most, the Occam's razor, the most likely explanation.
Right. ISIS attacks France because France attacked ISIS.
In Syria, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, ISIS doesn't have planes. They can't fly them over and drop bombs. They don't have conventional fighters. This is asymmetrical warfare. This is unconventional warfare. And They, managed to recruit some European nationals. From what we can tell, not a single one of the terrorists in France was somebody who was from Syria. So, that's interesting to know. The one passport they found was supposed to be fraudulent. They don't know who made it, but fraudulent nonetheless. So, it could be that ISIS, that somebody says, I'll get a Syrian passport. It'll make it look like the Syrian refugees, because ISIS seems to want war. I don't know what their end game is. I can't figure that much out, but it seems to be just chaos-based, because they're going to die. They're going to get wiped out. I don't know exactly.
And someone else will rise up.
But I did see some interesting pictures, speaking to what he has to say, some interesting pictures of some ISIS fighters facing in two different directions while they prayed. No Muslims in the world would be facing in two different
You're
directions.
Supposed to face towards Mecca.
They're facing towards Mecca. So unless you're at the South Pole or something, they're geographically, there's some place on the planet which is exactly the opposite of Mecca. I don't know if it's the middle of the Indian Ocean or where it is, but that might be confusing. But other than that, there should not be people praying in two separate directions.
Could you verify that they were actually ISIS members, or was it just they were claimed to be?
I don't know. There were guys in black garb. They certainly looked suspicious. They weren't North Vietnamese, I can tell you that.
All right, let's go to Ron. He's in Indianapolis listening to WIBC FM. Hey, Ron.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Welcome, sir. You're on the air.
Sort of interesting. I think I've heard you guys before, but not had a chance to call in.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Put in a nice long work day. It snowed today. God, that sucks. Anyway.
It's snowing in Indianapolis today? Wow. All right.
It snowed today.
Anyway, go ahead with the point of your call.
58-year-old black man, Democratic persuasion, gun toting, permitted to carry open. There's just so much stuff that goes on in our world. It's really crazy. I think I'm Christian because I believe Jesus Christ died for my sin. But I don't believe in letting too darn many people come in our country with the intent on knowing that at some point they're going to start doing like they did in Israel. These are the enemies of Israel. They're going to be the enemies of the United States. And as it's turning out, they're the enemies of the world. I know that just bombing the hell out of them isn't gonna work, and there may come a time where there need to be some muddy boots on the ground. But I heard some guy the other day.
Ron, can you do me a favor? Back off your phone by about an inch or two. You're just overdriving the audio a little bit. Now, and while you do that, I'd like to ask, what would Jesus do about the refugees? Apparently, he's back.
Not sure.
Go ahead.
No. I'm here.
Yeah, okay, you're saying you're not sure? Go ahead.
I'm not sure. I am simply not sure. Even though I do know that when they came to arrest him, he told Peter, "Put the sword down. Let's give this guy's ear back. Everything is okay." But that may be a different scenario. I'm not sure. I just don't know what he would do.
Well, as far as religions go for philosophies, I tend to not go for the whole let's find out what a bunch of Bronze Age people had to say about a particular topic, and we'll have that same thing going. So for me, it's all about, well, what makes sense today. And what makes sense today to me is that you want to stretch out your hand and help people who are in need, don't you?
Is that why I take some of my tip money and give it to the guys standing out on the street with signs?
The answer would be yes.
Yes.
Yes. So we want to help those refugees who were, to some extent or another, created by the U.S.'s foreign policy in Iraq, the destabilization of the area. So we want to help them. How do we help them? And I don't mean U.S. government handouts. I'm just talking about letting people, they're probably religious folks, but letting people who want to help. I'd let a family stay at my house.
This, and I potentially would, but this is sort of how this works. Why don't we give them their country back?
Why don't go in there and fight for it?
Well, we're already fighting for it.
No, we are not. Okay. The United States government is involved. There's no doubt about it. I say put every U.S. soldier on something that smokes and send them back to the United States.
But I still think that part of this is such a big subject. We need to, in my opinion, get that country back. One of the ways we're going to do that, we need to get ISIS the hell up out of there.
Well, that's easier said than done.
Let the Arabs do it.
Thanks, Ron. Call us another night. We're happy to talk to you again, and we can cover other big subjects with you then. I appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live.
Dr. Ngozi Obi is an emerging American author of Nigerian descent who's published 2 novels with an inspirational message. A third is in the works. Her first novel, Love's Destiny, follows Naira, a somewhat naive young woman, in a gripping tale of love lost and found. Her second novel, When Dreams and Visions Collide, follows Fern and friends as they discover what it takes to realize a dream and the true meaning of unconditional love. Dr. Obi's books are available where books are sold and ladyofdestiny.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Don't forget, you can join us online. Just drop by freetalklive.com and enjoy the features that we have waiting for you on the site. If you like Free Talk Live, you like the fact that we do the show 7 nights a week. We talk about liberty 7 nights a week, basically. We give the show away. You can go download Free Talk Live, as many episodes as you want for years and years of archives. The website's completely free. You like all that? Well, then, how about $5 a month from you? The Free Talk Live AMP program allows you to send $5 a month to us with any major credit card through PayPal or Visa or MasterCard through our website, and then you get special access to certain AMP perks. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote, because that's what the intention is to do with the money that we receive, is to promote Free Talk Live, to get on more radio stations, to spread the message of liberty as far and as wide as possible. And we're doing that with those who are already signed up for the AMP program. You could join them. You get perks like the AMP Only Facebook group, which is great. There's also the AMP Only podcast, the AMP Only phone lines, and more. Go and learn more about the AMP program at amp.freetalklive.com and then get signed up there. That's amp.freetalklive.com. As we go to your calls and thoughts, let's talk to Miles, listening in Indy to WIBC FM. Hey, Miles.
Hi.
Hi. You're on the air.
Yeah, I was just saying that like I go to Minneapolis, Minnesota to visit my sister, and there's a huge Somali population there, about 50,000 people that are there through I guess the Somali Civil War, and they're all refugees, and I haven't like really ever heard of any kind of backlash, Muslim bombings or anything, but most of the Somalis are Muslim.
That's a great point.
And if we have that many people in one city, I think it's the hugest Muslim population in the United States.
I thought that was Dearborn.
So
is that Dearborn?
Freaked out.
Well, 50,000 is a lot, Mark. I mean, that's still, either way, it's a sizable amount of people. It's my understanding there's a number of Somalis in Portland, Maine as well.
Yeah, I think it's Minneapolis, Minnesota has like around 50,000. And you can see it when you're there, like it's obvious. And there's no bombings, people killing people and whatnot, and they've integrated into society. And what I've seen is most of them are very hardworking.
It's an awesome point.
There's been that's my point. Okay?
Awesome. Thanks, Miles. I appreciate hearing from you tonight. Thank you for making that call. And that's a great point. And that would have been from what, the mid 1990s? The back when the
Black Hawk Down?
Yeah, Black Hawk Down movie. Probably what most Americans know about it.
Yeah, that's about what I know.
So, yeah, that's 20 years now. Those folks have been there. And everything's okay. They're probably still Muslims after all that time. And, of course, the people who are talking crap about Muslims on the air on talk radio and on, Fox News or whatever other talking head shows.
They're talking about a very small percentage of the population.
What do you mean?
Of the Muslim population. They're talking about a very small percentage.
Well, generally people will talk crap about Muslims and they'll act like they're all the same. That's what I was referring to there.
Yes, I agree.
And I think our caller is making a very salient point. Let's go to just saying that, look, you got all these Muslims, 50,000 of them in one city. Where are the bombings? Where are the killings? It's Ralph in New Jersey, and you, Ralph, you're on Free Talk Live.
I always expect that at some point in time someone would be called a racist. In the earlier hour, okay, you did dismiss a guy who, probably the analysis that he put out was a flawed one. But nevertheless, he's entitled to an opinion. And he was dismissed as a quote-unquote racist. See, the white guilty, they have some kind of like a narrow definition of what is racism and what is a racist.
How do you define it?
Now, I'd like to, enhance my understanding of white guilty. That's why
Mark asked a question, though. How do you define racist?
Well, someone who, like what happened there at Dartmouth, okay? Someone who harassed people. You do understand what happened there at Dartmouth, right? With the Black Lives
some protesters there. The Black Lives Matter protesters were being nasty.
And the racial epithet that is freely thrown around, white privilege, white image.
Well, there's racist black people too. I mean, there's racists of all stripes.
Thank you. Finally.
We've said that before.
Finally.
You're welcome.
Finally.
You're welcome. Finally.
All right. Now, I want to enhance my understanding of white guilty. So, therefore, in the Michael Savage book, I call him, affectionately as Dr. Michael Savage, Government Zero.
His name's Wiener.
Fiddling white guilt. You cannot get a
It is funny. A man named Wiener. That is funny. I mean, come on. Let's be honest.
Fiddling white guilt is
the only thing better would be if he was born Richard Wiener. I mean, that would be the only better name.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Fiddling white guilt is part of the liberal agenda, but a lot of liberals actually buy into it. They truly feel guilty themselves just for being who they are. Now, the term libertarian.
Hold on a second.
And liberal,
now, wait a minute.
there is indeed a blurred line on that one.
Wait, Ralph, what I want to know is you said for being who they are. When I think of myself, I don't think of myself as white. That's not who I am. I'm a human being who has feelings and beliefs.
When you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't think that, right?
Not at all. I think I'm a human being. I'm a part of a large whole of people that make up the entire population of the earth, and we're all different in many different ways. And, anybody who identifies themselves by the color of their skin, I think that person is probably likely to be a racist, just because they focus on those things.
And you would like to believe that these people, the Black Lives Matter, they are that. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know any of them.
I think it's a huge.
Is waging a war against the police.
Who's war against the police? Well, who's ever waging a war against police is failing because there's fewer of them died this year than last.
Obama and the Black Lives Matter.
Thank God.
Obama's waging a war against the police.
You know that he's the chief of the executive branch, right? He is the cop's boss.
He is not.
Yes, he is.
Ralph, under Obama's administration, the police. Ralph, I don't know if you know this. I'm going to put you on hold because you're shouting. But under Obama's administration, the last several years of our lives, the police state in the United States has gotten much worse. Here in Keene, New Hampshire, we were sent a federal government-funded, meaning your tax dollars, funded Bearcat, which is an armored attack truck that basically, is essentially
they're going all over the country.
Armored personnel carrier. Keene is a town of 25,000 people.
Obama could stop that anytime he wanted.
Obama could do that, but Obama's administration is handing out $270,000 checks to these various little towns to arm up their police department. Now, mind you, George Bush was doing the same kind of crap, so Obama's really no different than George W. Bush and so on and so forth. All these presidents, as far as I'm concerned, are basically the same. They just seem to be getting just a little bit worse each one that comes along. So whoever it is that's next, whether it's the Republican or the Democrat, I'm sure they're going to continue the Obama/Bush policies and then add on some more garbage of their own. But not one of these presidents has ever said anything critical of the police state. They have fueled and funded the police state. They have authorized the police state. If Obama wanted to actually do something, he could decommission, or not decommission, but declassify or deschedule the Schedule 1 narcotics like cannabis. I mean, he did, to his credit, say something in an interview that made it sound like he understood that cannabis really wasn't as bad as it was being made out to be, and he did admit to using it. Of course, so did George W. Bush.
Considering there are pictures, I guess it really doesn't make a difference whether he admits to it or not.
So did Bill Clinton. Well, pictures, you can't prove that someone had marijuana in a picture.
No, you can't.
But when someone admits to it, then that's another thing. So you got the last three presidents that have admitted to the smoking of cannabis or doing other drugs. I think George Bush admitted to cocaine use at one point. But yet all of them continue to wage the war on drugs against the people of the United States. They don't care about your rights. They don't care about freedom, because they support the police state. And the idea that Obama doesn't support the police state is ridiculous. Ralph, I'll give you a final thought. Go ahead.
Well, at the very least, I grant you this, or I give credit to the both of you for, not forgetting that 9/11 happened in this country. Let's bring it to a logical conclusion right now, what you said before, that the government did not protect us on 9/11, but did we learn the lesson from 9/11, though, guys? Did we?
Yes, we learned that if you mess around in people's country, they're liable to do something about it.
Well, we learned that. I don't know how many other people learned it. Thanks, Ralph, for your call tonight. You can join us here. Hour number 3 is on the way. Plenty of time for you. It's Free Talk Live.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with a click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is even at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 2 cents lower at $14.31 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $322 US. We have the lowest priced Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, November 21st, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,078 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $328. Antiwar.com reports, after over a year of U.S. strikes against the Islamic State targets, officials have admitted to only a handful of civilian deaths, though reports from independent sources have suggested that hundreds have been killed. On Friday, the Pentagon Central Command admitted to another 4 civilians killed, including a child, in a strike against Hatra, Iraq. The strikes attacked a checkpoint of the Islamic State on the outskirts of the town, destroying 2 civilian vehicles that were waiting to cross the checkpoint and killing the passengers within. The Central Command insists that the attack was perfectly legal under international law. The attack was carried out by an A-10, basically a cargo plane full of guns with very little targeting capability. An A-10 was similarly behind the recent attack on a Doctors Without Borders hospital in Afghanistan, and the Pentagon Central Command is once again insisting they had no way of knowing civilians were present. Patrick Ryder, the Central Command spokesman, insisted, "If we knew there were civilians, we would not have conducted a strike." He also said the fact that the vehicles waited at the checkpoint led the Pentagon to conclude that they were the Islamic State and therefore lawful targets. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports homelessness in the United States is on the decline, according to data newly released by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, with the sharpest drop seen among veterans in the past 5 years. The report, released Thursday, announced an 11% decrease in the overall homeless population and 26% decrease in the unsheltered population since the launch of President Barack Obama's Opening Doors initiative in 2010. In the past 5 years, the population of homeless veterans on a single night has dropped 36%. Much of the progress is being attributed to investment made by the U.S. Congress, as well as a joint program between HUD and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Family homelessness has dropped 19% in the same 5-year window. Numbers of homeless individuals and families are estimated from data collected during an annual point-in-time poll taken on a single night. The HUD report also details a 22% decline in chronic homelessness, as more than 83,000 people fell into that category this year.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's FANS.fppradio.com.
Reuters reports Montana's governor granted clemency on Friday to a man convicted of murder as a teenager in the 1979 bludgeoning death of a female classmate in a case that ignited debate about severe punishment of teen offenders. Barry Beach, who was 17 at the time of the killing, was sentenced to 100 years in prison without the possibility of parole after admitting to investigators that he used a wrench and tire iron to beat to death Kimberly Neese, a 17-year-old pupil at Poplar High School, after she refused him sex. Using an executive order, Governor Steve Bullock commuted that to time served and 10 years probation under the supervision of the State Department of Corrections. Beach's sentence had drawn the attention of legal advocates, including Bullock, who argued that sentencing for youth offenders should take into account their age and possibility of reform. Those advocates won a victory in 2012 when the U.S. Supreme Court found that an Alabama law mandating life without parole for a juvenile convicted of murder violated a constitutional ban on cruel and unusual punishment. Bullock, who was Montana's Attorney General before being elected governor, wrote in his order granting clemency for Beach that a sentence of life without parole forecloses the possibility of rehabilitation. Since his conviction by a Montana jury in 1984, Beach has argued in legal filings that he is innocent and that his confession was coerced by police. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's now been 7 days since a group of hikers went missing in Maine's Acadia National Park, but rescue crews there are still holding out hope of finding them alive. Autistic reporter Michael Falk is on the scene there. Michael.
Hello, Brooke. My socks got wet. That cameraman gave me new socks. I am fine.
That's good, Michael, but what's the situation there?
The names of the hikers are Casey Allman, Brian Emery, Ashley Thorson. The hikers were last seen 174 hours ago. Since then, 3 very big storms have hit here. There's a 1.24% chance that all of the hikers are alive. Why are you looking for the hikers?
Well, we're still hopeful that we might be able to find them. There's been a break in the weather, so we're hoping that...
Over the past 7 days, the average high temperature has been 21 degrees Fahrenheit. Over the past 7 days, the average low temperature has been 6 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right. So we did another sweep of the park from the air, but we didn't see anything.
Without shelter, the human body can withstand temperatures this cold for a maximum of 3 hours. Is there shelter in the forest for the hikers?
Not that we know of.
They are frozen.
Well, we like
Shh.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition. We are here to take your call. Should you wish to join the show, to bring up whatever you want to discuss, the refugee situation is sort of the hot topic here tonight. And what we started out the show with was a great piece from Reason.com that basically sort of compared the current fear-mongering situation about the Syrian refugees, the idea being that they could be ISIS, versus what happened back in the late 30s or the early 40s during World War II, where people in America thought that the Jewish refugees could be Nazis. And the same kind of fear-mongering was going on. So the more things change, the more they stay the same in that way. With you
That's
tonight,
how humans are.
It's Ian here, by the way.
And Mark.
And let's go right back into your calls and thoughts. And then if we get the chance, Mark, you've got an interesting piece from relevantmagazine.com about the 12 verses from the Bible. And I don't like reading Bible verses. I really don't. But I think this is interesting because it's what the Bible says about how to treat refugees. And, of course, a lot of the people that are promulgating the fear about the Syrian refugees, a.k.a. the Muslims, because most of them are Muslim, would probably identify themselves as American Christians. So what does the Bible actually say about how to treat the refugees? I wanted to get into that, but let's go to your calls and thoughts first. First up, it's Jim in Tallahassee. Jim, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good evening.
Welcome.
First of all, you asked earlier, what would Jesus do?
Yeah.
I believe Jesus would bring up the Good Samaritan, and the Good Samaritan helped the man, but he didn't take him home. He put him in a hotel, gave the guy a little money, and said, help him out and then send him on his way. He did not take him home. Then I would also say that why would you bring people to the United States who never intend on assimilating?
How do you know what they intend to do?
Yeah, how do you know them? How do you know that? Have you talked to them?
Because they believe in Sharia law. They will not ever. I mean, they believe they want Sharia law in the communities here, kind of mostly Muslim. There's already been movements they want to be allowed to live under Sharia law.
You know what Sharia law is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, what is it?
Yes, it's a religious law, and it's what most of these, like Afghanistan, they just did a Pew. Pew just did a study. 11 countries, Muslim countries, all of them, vast majority of people want and approve of Sharia law.
Yeah, Sharia law is not something that applies to non-Muslims.
They want, dude. Do you think that they won't attack a woman once they're in the majority? In a town,
Muslims are peaceful people.
Down the street without a hood. No, they're not evil people.
I said they're peaceful people, and yeah, they're not evil people.
A different culture. It's a different culture, and they never intend.
America has all kinds of different cultures. Look, Sharia, we've actually talked to Muslims.
I can tell you what, if somebody's in the majority and attacks my wife, dude, I'm going to shoot him in the face. Listen to me. Listen to me. You have nothing to worry about. They're not going to go around attacking women for not wearing veils.
But you know what?
It's ridiculous.
Saudi Arabia has a tent city that can hold over 1 million people in luxury tents. How many Syrians have they allowed in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I think I'm baffled by it. I would wish that Saudi Arabia would do that. But
how many Syrians are being brought into Egypt?
Why don't you lead the way by showing some compassion for some people who are trying to escape a deadly situation?
Compassion is forcing our Saudi allies to take care of
the
their
word force and compassion
brothers.
Do not go hand in hand. You cannot have forced compassion, sir.
Force as in say, hey, you want our help and you help this. But okay,
look, let's go back to what you originally were claiming, which is nonsense. That is that Sharia law would somehow be enforced on people. Look, have you ever actually talked to a Muslim?
Okay. Do you think
have you ever talked to a Muslim?
Yes, I have, and I've read the Quran.
When was it? Really? That's
the
great.
whole thing, cover to cover, or are you just talking about one verse?
No, let me ask you a question. I don't want to argue.
I've read the Quran as well.
Ask you a question. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay, my question is, do you think that communities here should be allowed to exist under a separate legal system?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that you should be able to have a set of religious rules that apply to you.
Oh, you can't say that on the radio, sir. Haven't you ever called talk radio before? You can't say the F word.
Okay, so here's a little lesson on Sharia law. I know it's this big, scary bugbear out there, but Sharia law has to do with rules for Muslims. By Muslims.
Religious rules for Muslims.
It has little to nothing to do with you, just to do with them. So yes, you should be able to have your own set of extra legal rules. You can call them laws if that's what you want. Like the Old Testament has laws. Do we tell the Jews they can't follow the Old Testament? I mean, really, what kind of nutty place would do that?
Yeah. We've actually, we've had a Muslim on our show on multiple occasions.
And not because I think that Islam is any better than Christianity. I don't. I really think
they're very similar, actually.
Yeah, Muhammad only intended Islam to be sort of an addition to the religions of the book.
It's a correction, basically.
Yeah, that's the idea. But either way, I don't. For me, these are Bronze Age interpretations of people's view of God. I could care less about them. Yes, I know there's a big team sport thing. Christians are better than Muslims. Muslims are better than Christians. I know that there are people out there that are having that argument. I don't care about your stinking religious arguments. What I care about is understanding. I want to know what they think. I know what Christians think. I was raised that way. I want to know what the Muslims think. And I want to know, are they dangerous? Are there dangerous Muslims? There certainly are. There are dangerous Christians.
Yes.
I was in prison at one point. The vast majority of people in there self-identified as Christians. Now, Christians are going to say, no, not like us. But, why in the world would I judge the world's population on bad Christians that I've met? Christian population on bad Christians I've met, if I'm going to judge the Muslim population on the bad Muslims I've met.
You want to share your thoughts? Join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Let's go to Steve in New Jersey. Steve, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Hi. That guy that we just called, when he says that Muslims want to live under Sharia law, well, Jews want to live under Talmudic law.
Yeah.
When you have the Hasidims, and there are big Jewish populations up in Brooklyn and in Lakewood. There are huge Jewish populations, and they live under their own extra rules.
Yeah, and they're not forcing it on anyone.
And they're not forcing it on anybody, not at all. The only thing that bothers me is that, people in Lakewood, because they are a synagogue and all of that, they don't pay taxes, but yet
neither do churches.
Buses still take their. Yeah, I know, and that tends to bother me a little bit too.
Well, I don't think you should pay taxes either. I don't think anyone should.
Well, I agree with you there.
Okay,
there you go.
but getting to my point, I don't have a problem with the Syrians coming in. But there was a story that I happened to pick up from somewhere about a person who was a Syrian Christian who was living in Portland, Maine, and two Somali Muslims who were in Portland, Maine, killed this person because he was a Christian. So,
how do you know it was because he was a Christian?
Well, according to the news source, it was because.
Okay.
But
I'm sure it's going to happen. Some people, rednecks kill people because they're gays. There's a variety of things that happen, and these.
Let's deal with those things as they crop
conflicts,
up.
That come up.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. I appreciate hearing from you tonight. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Yeah, if you bring thousands of people into a place. And we did mention, there was a guy who called earlier pointing out that there were like 50,000 Somalis living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There's also, as I mentioned, and he mentioned Portland, Maine, there is a large Somali population there as well. I believe from the same time frame of refugees coming over. And so you got tens of thousands of people or thousands of people living somewhere. Somebody's going to be a criminal, at some point, even if they weren't initially.
People get mad.
Whatever. Right. And, who knows? Maybe it was a drug deal gone bad, and the one guy happened to be a Christian, and they happen to be whatever. Who knows what the details are? Let's deal with them as they come up and have freedom instead.
I'm Steve Sidkowski, a former Wall Street insider. Right now, I'm holding a book that could change your life. It will show you investing strategies which could help you earn the kind of money you've always dreamed about. And right now, I'm giving this book away for free. So who needs to read it? If you're in the middle of your career and you worry you'll never have enough money to retire, you need to read this book. If you're already retired and your income isn't enough, you need to read this book. And if you don't want to be selling burgers at the age of 80, well, you need to read this free book. The reality is you'll need at least $1 million to ever fully retire. If you're behind on that goal, you really need to read Trade Like the Pros. And you can for free by calling 1-800-505-6991. Are you skeptical that it will deliver results? It's a free book, so what do you have to lose? Find out how at 1-800-505-6991. That's 1-800-505-6991. 1-800-505-6991.
Don't take a cold or flu lying down. Stand up and fight back with Supernatural Silver. Supernatural Silver is a natural immune system booster that is highly effective against viruses, bacteria, and fungus. Supernatural Silver is perfect for daily use and can be taken orally or used topically to keep you protected from whatever comes your way. This new technology is hundreds of times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver and is supported by extensive research from over 300 clinical studies at universities and independent research facilities across the country. Supernatural Silver has an exceptionally long storage life and should be an essential part of your emergency preparedness. Don't be caught off guard. Give your body the support it needs to fight off deadly pathogens that are lurking everywhere. Stock up on Supernatural Silver and give yourself and your loved ones a fighting chance. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SILVER2015 for 20% off. That's supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com.
Due to an upturn in the economy, Main Street Business Loans has pre-approved the release of millions of dollars in small business funding. Your business may already be pre-approved to receive up to $250,000. We've sent out millions of pre-approval letters. We see the economy growing, and our underwriters believe now is the time to invest in your business so you can grow faster and make more money. And we're prepared to give you up to $250,000 to do it. Your funds can be available in 5 days. There are no application fees, no annual fees, just quick access to up to $250,000. If your business did not receive your approval letter to get up to $250,000, call Main Street Business Loans Approval Desk now.
800-430-4505. 800-430-4505. 800-430-4505. That's 800-430-4505.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll free. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also, join us on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
If you're online at all, whether you're on Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Linux, you can use ProXPN to protect yourself online. From who, you may ask? Well, there are all kinds of people that might want to spy on what you're doing online. But first and foremost, your own internet service provider. If you're not using ProXPN to encrypt your internet connection, the ISP you're on, your internet service provider, they know everything that you're doing. And you can stop that from happening by using ProXPN. ProXPN.com. Go there to get started, and you can use our code FTL50 to get 50% off of the regular monthly price when you order their annual account. And by the way, that price break, that 50%, that's good for the lifetime of your account. Code FTL50. ProXPN keeps no logs of your activities online whatsoever. No logs means no logs to turn over to anybody who wants them. And of course, your internet service provider will turn over that information to the police. They'll sell that information to other companies or mine the information for their own usage to send you advertising and crap like that. So go to proxpn.com, get started there. And if you are a Bitcoin user, there's some Bitcoin discounts. We'll tell you about that at another time. But our code is FTL50, and that'll save you big time, and it'll help you take back the privacy that is your right at proxpn.com. And don't forget code FTL50. Let's go to Claire, listening in Delaware. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Claire.
Mark, I love both of your idea on freedom. I'm with you on that, but I think you're both so silly and immature on this topic.
Which topic?
Trying to compare the Muslims with the Christians, and you've seen Christians here, and some of them, listen, it's not Christians, it's not Jews, it's not Hindus, it's not any other religion going around the world causing this chaos. So
Whoa, there's plenty of Christians in the U.S. military.
No. Okay, well, wait a minute. Name me the last Christian that's called any terrorism in this country.
The last Christian that caused terrorism in this country.
Because I can tell you a couple in the Muslims for the last couple weeks, day by day. But tell me the last. Wait a minute. Let's be fair. Give me the last 3 Christians that have done terrorism in this country.
So terrorism is a term, right?
Wait a minute. You're not answering. You're going around my question.
There were 3 people there were 3 Christians that committed crimes in your town today. So terrorism is just a form of criminality.
Who's that?
I don't know their names. Are you claiming the 3 Christians did not commit crimes in your town today?
No, not that I'm aware of. Not terrorism.
How big is your town? What is terrorism?
Wait a minute. Well, I'm saying terrorism. Let's stay on topic here, since you compare the Christians to the Muslims.
You don't think that beating your wife at home is terrorism?
Wait a minute. You just said a moment ago you thought that they should be allowed to exist in our country under their religious laws.
Absolutely, 100%. I think you should be able to live under your religious law too, madam.
Let me wait a minute. Let me give you an example of something, because I'll tell you how innocent you are on this topic. There's a girl, and I'm trying to think of the name of her book, and I think it's In Plain Sight. I can't remember the name of it. And she grew up in, I think, Syria, come to this country. Do you know why she come to this country? Because her Muslim uncle, raped her. And she was such a disgrace at 7 years old. Not the uncle. She was a disgrace.
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a cultural thing that's there that has to do with rape.
Wait a minute.
Honor killings.
She came over here. Her brother accidentally one day with a pencil poked her in the eye. That was another thing against her. She was a disgrace for the family. She was repeatedly thrown by both parents, and the last ultimate sin she committed, because she was thinking of committing suicide by 7th grade, was she started to cut herself, and then finally she tried to commit suicide. A friend of hers took her to church. She became a Christian. For 4 years she hid it. She even named the mosque in Ohio that said that had she not run away, she would have been killed by the mosque or her parents.
No mosque. No, there's no mosque in America that's going to go killing women.
Oh, please, let's stop all this nonsense.
Yes,
you think it's okay that her parents can treat her like that?
No, I think it's awful. But you do understand that when it takes a while for people to assimilate when they come here.
How many Christians beat their kids?
They're not going to. Listen, it's one thing to give your kid a spanking when they deserve it. It's another for an honor killing. And
I think there's a difference.
Grossly naive on this topic.
Oh, I don't hold the same opinion as my partner does. He's trying to
find that to be terrorism.
Moving the goalposts on this. But what I'm trying to say here is look, these people have had their region messed with by people from the West, probably who call themselves Christians, for decades. The reason that they're destabilized, the reason that radicals tend to rise to power in their area is because they keep on being destabilized by Western governments. If Western governments would get the hell out of their business, they would stay where they were, generally.
I agree with you. I agree we don't belong over there. I will agree with you. But they are spreading a caliphate, and trust me, this president has no intention of going over there. Are they stopping? We're not bothering them now. Is it stopping them? They're going to destabilize the world, and you are...
I'd like to answer your question, since, Mark, you've been talking to Claire for the most part here. You'd asked about Christians doing terrorism. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How do you define terrorism? Because we have to understand...
I'm defining terrorism in comparison to the way the Muslims are going around killing innocent people in the world.
It's not a definition of terrorism.
whether they're other Muslims, whether they're Christians, which they largely are today, are going after the
That
Jews.
is not a definition of terrorism. So the definition of terrorism is the use of violence and threats to intimidate or coerce, especially for political purposes. Can we agree that that is the definition of terrorism?
What happened in the mall? What happened to the mall there? Where was it? In Africa, where they not too long ago? What was it?
I don't want to talk about a mall.
What
I want you
went
to
in
talk about
Paris?
the definition of terrorism.
Who is doing all this? Wait a
Claire,
minute. Who is doing all this?
You've been yammering on here throughout this entire call, and I want you to come to an agreement with me that we can understand and agree.
When the terrorism is going on in the world, it is nothing but the Muslims. It is
You
not
are ridiculous,
Christian,
and you don't even
Jewish,
understand, madam, what the word terrorism is. You're the one talking down to us, and I put you on hold because you won't stop talking to have an actual conversation. You're the one telling us that we're being immature about this, but you can't even understand or define what terrorism is. You just believe that if a Muslim does violence, that's terrorism. The definition of terrorism is the use of violence and threats to intimidate or coerce, especially for political purposes.
It sounds like the IRS.
That is the definition of what the government does to people in this country and what governments around the world do to people in their countries all around the globe. It's certainly the definition of what the U.S. government does to the people in the Middle East by bombing and killing over there. That is, by definition, textbook terrorism. So you want a list of Christians within the last week who have committed terrorism? Look no further than your local police department and the military barracks. There are plenty of Christians who are committing terrorism on you and I. She's still talking. Go ahead, Claire. Oh, you still there?
Still there?
She hung up. So she was talking the entire time I had put her on hold. So that's what terrorism is. When you use violence to try to influence things, generally, to try to change things. That's what the government does.
Usually terrorism's applied to extra-governmental organizations, right?
Well, of course the government's not going to call them what they do terrorists.
Right. What terrorists are would-be governments. The Islamic State is the best example because they call themselves a state.
The state.
Right? You know, because that's what governments are. They are states. States are organizations that rule ultimately by the Mao Zedong said political power comes out of the barrel of a gun.
So true.
What happens if you stop obeying, not being violent, but just stop obeying the rules of the government? You don't have to be violent. You don't have to hurt anybody. But if you don't pay your taxes, they'll shoot you, ultimately.
Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, or Skype in at Skype username LRN.FM. It's Free Talk Live.
A lot of people's lives and bodies are out of balance. AlkaVision Plasma pH drops optimize pH level and get rid of harmful waste and acid. Just a few drops in water restores vibrance and energy and gets you back in balance. Now order 2 bottles and get $10 off your order. Sign up for monthly auto shipping and save 25%. Call 800-518-7615 or visit alkavision.com. Alkalize your body. Supercharge your health at alkavision.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE, but the phones are actually loaded up. So if you want to get in, you can also grab us on Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. Tonight, it's Ian here.
And Mark.
Let's go right back to your calls and thoughts. Don't forget you can join us online at freetalklive.com. If you enjoy Free Talk Live, please become a Free Talk Live amplifier at amp.freetalklive.com. $5 a month. We take that in, invest it into the show, get on more radio stations, bring the ideas of freedom and liberty to as many people as far and as wide as possible. Sometimes we get called nasty names because of that, like we did earlier tonight. And that's just part of the role of what we do here, you know, because freedom's a scary thing and people feel threatened by it. So.
Yeah, what I want to hear is I want to hear rational conversations. For me, that's what's important. And fear-mongering, religions, these don't motivate me in many ways.
And if we get the chance, and I doubt we will, but if not, maybe we'll do it tomorrow, the Bible, what it says about how to treat refugees. Because people seem really confused about this. Apparently, bombings and shootings are what they think Jesus was recommending for treating people around the world. And I don't think Jesus would have supported those things. But let's go to you with your calls and thoughts. Stephen, listening in Alabama. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Welcome, sir. Go ahead with your thoughts. I'm good.
Y'all ruffled a few feathers tonight, huh?
It happens.
That's what we do for a living.
First time listener, first time caller. I was calling in reference to a statement one of you guys made about anybody who, I guess, see themselves by the color of their skin or something to that effect.
Yeah, you know what? I know what statement you're talking about, and I sort of regretted saying it after I said it. I said that anybody that thinks of themselves as the color of their skin is likely to be a racist or something like that, and that's probably not necessarily the case. But I don't think people should think that way. I mean, I wish we could get rid of the idea of race. I wish we could just all be the human race.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a different vantage point.
Sure.
I'm a black guy living in the southern United States, and to tell you the truth, there hasn't been a day that I've been allowed not to view myself as a black person, At some point, probably multiple times a day, I'm going to be reminded of who I am in America,
What is that like for you? I mean, when you say multiple times a day, give me a few examples. Are people saying things to you that
You're a black guy. Hey, look, I'm a black guy.
That are derogatory, the N-word or whatever? What are you experiencing?
I mean, people that think they're cracking innocent jokes, references to fried chicken or porch monkey. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, from being followed in the store, being looked at strangely. I'm a fairly large-sized guy, too, so I'm very aware of that. So I have to do things to make people feel at ease around me, you know. And that's not a unique thing for me. I mean, that's pretty much every black man that I know, you know. And just from even childhood growing up, you know, I had experiences with the police that I'm pretty sure that everybody else don't have to deal with, you know. Driving while black is a real thing.
Yeah,
you know?
it does seem to be a real thing. But I would say that, you know, like when I was younger, I'd go to Home Depot more often than I do today. And oftentimes somebody would ask me for directions inside the store, usually an older lady. Hey, you know, I don't know how to do this or that. I think they thought I worked there, you know, and I guess it was probably based on the way I looked to some extent. I usually gave them whatever advice I could give them.
Yep.
And then if they continue to act like I work there, I'm like, I don't really know. I don't work here, but I'm happy to help in any way I can. Maybe we could find somebody with an orange apron or something like that. you know, like sometimes I guess it's about interpretation to some extent. But I get that probably you've had experiences that cause you to interpret some things that otherwise wouldn't be, you know, interpreted that. I don't know.
And that we can't relate to.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you have to be. I can't afford not to be aware of my appearance, you know.
Especially as a big guy.
And I mean, oh yeah. And the thing is, you know, people look at all the protests that's happening with the police. You know, it's not because of one incident happening here a day. It's the total of the whole experience. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been choked in the back of a police car for nothing. You know.
Oh my God.
And called all kinds of names. I mean, I've been robbed by the police.
How'd that happen?
On more than one occasion. First job, you know, no car, walking home. Car pull up, get searched. Okay, what you doing with cash money on you? Well, I just got out of work. I get paid in cash. This don't belong to you. This can't be yours, so I'm taking it.
Wow.
And get out of here.
Yep, that's a straight-up robbery.
It's not, somebody got assaulted, so we all mad and angry. No, it's a built-up feeling.
Yeah, man, I definitely understand where you're coming from. I mean, as much as I can, right? Like I can't put myself completely in your shoes, but I'm horrified that things like that happen, and it's despicable. Not to say that they wouldn't have robbed some, you know, punk white kid or whatever that you know, drug dealing white kid or something like that of their drugs. I mean, they certainly will rob whoever they can get away with, right? So I mean, we come from Mark and I come from Florida, so we're familiar with the South. And there's the Bradenton Police Department was known for pulling people over of whoever and just stealing their cars from them. They would, if they had a bag of pot on them, they'd tell them, look, you either sign over the title to your car to us and you sign this release form, or we're going to charge you with a felony. And they would do that to anybody.
Well, I can tell you that, you know, so law enforcement is a form of power, and power can... if somebody who's a bigot, for instance, ends up in power, it can be a very bad thing. I did actually hear a law enforcement officer the words out of his mouth during the Nicole Brown Simpson situation. We were was discussing it with some friends. He was standing nearby, inserted himself in the conversation, and said she deserved to die. She was effing an N-word.
Wow.
He was very specific as to why she deserved to die, and claimed that she did.
This was a prison guard?
This is a prison guard, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Stephen, welcome to the show, man. I'm glad you called tonight to call us out on that, and thanks for the correction.
All right, thanks, man. I'm having fun listening.
Appreciate it. Appreciate hearing from you tonight. And we're there 7 nights a week at freetalklive.com, so thank you. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. But I wish it didn't have to be that way, right? Like
I want to live in a post-racial society. Yeah. I don't think we do today.
And sadly not. Let's continue, though, with you and your thoughts. Next up, Brenda, listening in Indianapolis to WIBC. Hey, Brenda.
Hey.
Hi there. You're on the air.
Okay. Well, I am hearing a lot of frustrated, proclaimed Christians calling in, and I have been there. And if I only went by what I saw on social media and on the news, I would lock myself in a closet and never want to come out.
Because of fear? Because of all the fear?
Because of all the propaganda, and not to say that there isn't truth to some of it, but my sister is a missionary. My sister, brother-in-law, and nephew are missionaries in Macedonia and have been for a year. Also, my brother-in-law is a Slovak from Serbia. and they have been married for 15 years. So they have firsthand experience with what's going on in all the people coming through Macedonia. They've went to the southern border with Greece and went to the Red Cross camp where they experienced a lot of refugees, and no one tried to hurt them. But my point is that if we don't try to connect, I'm speaking to the Christians that are listening, if we don't try to connect through relationships, that the refugees are actually human beings, and we only go by the surface of what we see on social media and the news, we are not going to be the light of the world. And so if there are Christians that are listening that are caught up in the fear, and you're angry and you're scared and you have all of these emotions going on, try to reach out to the Red Cross and get connected with people that are actually serving the refugees on the front line. That would be the point of my call, is that when we don't have relationships and we don't connect with these people that are actually hungry and starving and dying and need medical care, then we are useless as Christians.
That's a great point, Brenda. Thanks for calling and sharing that tonight. Look, as a former Christian, I am a panentheist these days, but if you want someone to know what it's like to be a Christian and what it's like what it means to be Christian, then you have to set that example for people, and that means loving people, right? Wasn't that what Jesus was talking about? These aren't your enemies. Muslims are not the enemies of Christians, and vice versa.
Well, I don't even want to talk to them as groups. These refugees are coming over, maybe Muslim. And
some are Christian.
The vast majority of them don't want to bother you at all. They just want a better life.
855 450 free. You can join us in the remaining moments of Free Talk Live.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
A lot of people's lives and bodies are out of balance. AlkaVision Plasma pH drops optimize pH level and get rid of harmful waste and acid. Just a few drops in water restores vibrance and energy and gets you back in balance. Now order 2 bottles and get $10 off your order. Sign up for monthly auto shipping and save 25%. Call 800-518-7615 or visit alkavision.com. Alkalize your body. Supercharge your health at alkavision.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in here. Actually, you can't really at this point. If you're already on the lines, then we'll do our best to get you in. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Don't forget, Free Talk Live is brought to you by Keenvention. If you missed it this year, there are videos online now. You go to keenvention.info. 3 of the videos. Now, there are going to be 14 videos in total, so there's still a few more to come out. But 3 of them are up. And today, or actually yesterday, I put up the Bitcoin panel, which may very well be the most popular panel that we end up having as far as all the videos are concerned, because we actually had Gavin Andreessen, who is the head programmer for Bitcoin, on this panel. So you want to see what Gavin Andreessen has to say about the state of Bitcoin, as well as some other awesome Bitcoin experts, then go to keenvention.info. You'll find that panel right there on the front page right now, the full 90 minutes. So if you didn't make it to Keenvention, you get to watch it all online. I put out one video every single week, as close to on schedule as I possibly can. It's been Fridays have been the days this time around. So go and grab up. The Cop Block panel is already on from a couple weeks ago. And let's see, what was the first one? The Political Action panel. So Political Action, Cop Block, and Bitcoin, all there. You can watch them all for free at keenvention.info. Or if you're already subscribed to the Free Keen YouTube channel, you're already seeing them. So let's go to continue with your calls and thoughts here. First up, we'll talk to Tim in Washington. You're on Free Talk Live, Tim, with Ian and Mark.
Well, how are you guys doing?
Hey, Tim, go ahead, sir.
Well, I just wanted to stick up for the woman a few calls back who was trying to make an argument that there is a difference between militant Islam and Christians. I think your arguments are off base. I think you guys need to rein in your rhetoric, your wording a little bit more, because
when did anyone here say, before you go on, when did anyone here say there wasn't a difference between militant Islams and Christians?
Well, by your own definition of what terrorism is, you contradict yourself, because you're talking about a political component to their action. A man who is a Christian or self-proclaimed Christian who is abusing his wife and daughter and children is bringing terror in their life. But I agree. He is not comparable to a militant Islam who has networking and connections and access to weapons and monies and manpower and assets on a regional or local or even a global scale.
Okay, well, Tim, what do you think about the comparison?
In the name of their perversion of Islam.
What do you think about the comparison that Ian made to governments as we know them today, states, as the terminology I like to use? So what do you think about his comparison between states and terrorists, saying that essentially all forms of all states that exist in the world right now are terrorist organizations also? What do you think about that?
Well, and you can argue that about the human civilization as we know it.
Yeah.
You're talking about people organizing themselves, assigning powers to persons, or these persons coming to power through brute force, through tyranny. But at the end of the day, these states are going to wage war against one another. Proxy wars, real warfare.
They do that. Well, they're also waging war against you and I. And civilization, in my opinion, doesn't have anything to do with terrorism. You know, you don't need to use threats of violence against people to have civilization. Most people are civilized because it benefits them. The terrorism
You're right,
is coming from
but
the government.
But at the end of the day, acts of violence and war is common to civilization building. Everything around
it's common to
is
government.
defined
Then why
by
do we
war.
lay it at the feet of Muslims?
I'm not laying it at the feet of Muslims. I'm
Okay, then
laying
why
it
did
at the
that
feet
lady
of militant-
lay it at the feet of Muslims? She said the acts of terrorists.
militant Islamists.
Okay, well, okay, then, but
She wasn't
it's a real
saying that.
she
phenomenon.
wasn't using the term militant Islamist.
She
I can
was
assure
indicting
you.
all Muslims.
She's saying,
Well,
"Go
most-
Christians, boo Muslims." That's all I heard.
I didn't hear that. I
Okay.
heard a woman that was somewhat educated on the topic, but also somewhat uneducated. And I think you guys are somewhat educated and misguided on the same topic as well. We're talking about people with different life experiences and different backgrounds and knowledge bases arguing over things that at the end of the day, they're not completely aware of what they're talking about.
In my opinion,
I know is they're
I've
suffering.
served in the military. I've served overseas.
I'm sorry to hear
I've
that.
dealt with Muslims in Iraq. Great people. They welcome me in their homes.
Yeah, see,
treated
your
me nice.
attitude is
I've
completely
known-
different from that lady. And maybe you should go back to our archives tonight at freetalklive.com and listen back to what she said. But you are actually saying nice things about standard Muslims. She was just indicting the entire religion. Thanks for the call, Tim. I do appreciate hearing from you. In my opinion, you can't have...
Well, this for me isn't even about Muslims or Christians. I don't even care about that stuff. I care about suffering people finding relief in some way, shape, or form. I don't think taxpayers should have to pay for it, but I should be able to bring a refugee family into my home if that's what I want to do. And people who are saying that I can't, really, they're infringing upon my freedom.
So, in my opinion, you can't have civilization true civilization if you have terrorism, if you have governments, because governments, as we know them, are terroristic.
They're antisocial organizations.
The definition of civilization is an advanced state of human society. And to me, it's not advanced to use the threat of violence against people to get your way. If you want to get your way, then use persuasion. That's an advanced tactic. Violence is the most base of human behaviors. Let's go to John, listening in Indianapolis to WIBC. Hey, John.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly address the lady had asked for some references in regards to Christians that are committing atrocities or have committed acts of terror.
Sure.
I guess Timothy slipped her mind there.
Everybody wants you to go back to Timothy McVeigh. He's so far back that that's a first loser. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I guess you could look at all of Mexico, who the cartels are committing acts of terrorism every day, and most Mexican people identify as Catholics.
Okay.
So although they may not be committing terror in the name of God, they do consider themselves men of God. And they are committing atrocities in Mexico, which is why they are, coming over here to America as essentially refugees to get away from the violence there.
Yeah, and I consider their acts of terrorism as relevant to their religion as I consider the acts of terrorism relevant to, Muslims that are doing it. So, yeah, I agree.
And also the last one I wanted to point out here, Joseph Kony in Uganda.
That's true. He's a good example.
Claims to be well. But I mean, anybody can pervert a religion. I think the idea, pretty much is to if you follow religion the way it's supposed to be followed, none of this would be going on anyway.
I think you're absolutely right about that. Good call, John. Thanks for making it tonight. I do appreciate it. How about Barack Obama, George W. Bush?
There you go, right for the jugular, don't you, man?
They're Christians, though, right? Don't they self-identify as Christians?
Yep.
All right, let's go to Bo in Tallahassee. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Bo.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Yes, sir. How are you guys?
Good. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, I feel, as I sit here and listen to all these people, I kind of sit here and think that anyone that forces their will upon me by an act of force would be a terrorist of some sort.
That's
right?
correct.
Okay, well, what's to say that, have you ever heard the saying of hell, fire, and damnation?
I've heard it.
That is your religion saying that you will burn in hell if you don't do what.
That's a great point. That's terroristic.
Yeah, I think it can be most detrimental to young people when children are taught the concept of hell, which is, hell's never mentioned in the Bible, and many Christian sects don't agree with hell. Don't agree that hell exists.
I called because I know that there was an agreement with Iran through our government to somehow give them nuclear power because they really need it. I think that that's going to benefit their country, of course, but they're worried about them making bombs out of it. Well, all I can say is back in the day when I was just a child at the time, I remember Ronald Reagan putting up the threat of a Star Wars program to scare Russia into leaving the Cold War alone. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, let's just, the power of will is so strong in our world, in our society, that if enough people just will for it, I'm sure that there will be a saving grace in that somewhere with all the smart technology folks we have today.
Saving grace for what?
To save us from that nuclear bomb that they're making and going to send over here.
Are you talking about the Iranians?
The IAEA has been checking them out for the last decade, and it's hard to know what's going on in Iran. There was this tunnel full of these missile trucks that was very disturbing recently that they found. But the organization, the International Atomic Energy Organization, has been checking all over there. How are we supposed to know what they're doing? I find it very confusing.
I mean, the biggest check is obviously the mutually assured destruction, because that's usually what keeps people from doing that.
I don't trust people that think they're going to go to heaven and get 70 virgins.
See you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com. Enjoy your weekend.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
If you want to play online poker with Bitcoin, you need a site that's trustworthy and technically sound. The site managers of swcpoker.eu have proven their commitment to bringing you great gameplay from a site you can trust, swcpoker.eu. They have lots of new games too, including Chinese poker, and their Krill leaderboard is open right now. It's a beautiful site, easy to use with lots of players. Go on over to swcpoker.eu now and have some fun with your Bitcoin. swcpoker.eu.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
The live edition of Off the Air Live is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, November 21st, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,078 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $328. Antiwar.com reports, after over a year of U.S. strikes against the Islamic State targets, officials have admitted to only a handful of civilian deaths. though reports from independent sources have suggested that hundreds have been killed. On Friday, the Pentagon Central Command admitted to another 4 civilians killed, including a child, in a strike against Hatra, Iraq. The strikes attacked a checkpoint of the Islamic State on the outskirts of the town, destroying 2 civilian vehicles that were waiting to cross the checkpoint and killing the passengers within. The Central Command insists that the attack was perfectly legal under international law. The attack was carried out by an A-10, basically a cargo plane full of guns with very little targeting capability. An A-10 was similarly behind the recent attack on a Doctors Without Borders hospital in Afghanistan, and the Pentagon Central Command is once again insisting they had no way of knowing civilians were present. Patrick Ryder, the Central Command spokesman, insisted, "If we knew there were civilians, we would not have conducted a strike." He also said the fact that the vehicles waited at the checkpoint led the Pentagon to conclude that they were the Islamic State and therefore lawful targets. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports homelessness in the United States is on the decline, according to data newly released by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, with the sharpest drop seen among veterans in the past 5 years. The report, released Thursday, announced an 11% decrease in the overall homeless population and 26% decrease in the unsheltered population since the launch of President Barack Obama's Opening Doors initiative in 2010. In the past 5 years, the population of homeless veterans on a single night has dropped 36%. Much of the progress is being attributed to investment made by the U.S. Congress, as well as a joint program between HUD and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Family homelessness has dropped 19% in the same 5-year window. Numbers of homeless individuals and families are estimated from data collected during an